Martu Brown and Jack Hetherington. Their coach, of course, is Craig Bellamy. The referee is Todd Smith. We have Ziggy Shaklasa-Adamski and Jared Cole on the touch lines. Chris Butler in the bunker. And Ian Cohen is sidelined for us on ABC Sport. Hello, Koza.
Yes, hello, Spriggy. Hello, Hoffy. A beautiful night here in Melbourne. And obviously, black sky now, but the fireworks have been going off. We've had the multicultural dances, so there is a cast of thousands getting off Amy Park surface at the moment. It looks like a carpet, though. I am ready for an absolute cracker. Hasn't been happy hunting grounds, though, for the Broncos. Only 5 wins from 29 expeditions south. And, of course, the last time, or the time before that, was Reynolds and Ezra Mam that did their hammies, chasing down a try.
Just 3 wins at this stadium in particular, Amy Park. So the Broncos with not the right sort of history. They'll kick off here, though, as we get this blockbuster underway. The grand final rematch here, NRL Friday on ABC Sport. Kamikamitha hits up first, 10 out from his own line, and the Storm will have first use, running away from that southern end of Amy Park in their usual home purple jersey. There's the run from McDonald, back from concussion, replacing Atu Lasati, who's out with a calf injury. Centre field, flipping out. Grant goes from dummy half, and he meets the defence head on there. And there was Ricky in the white headgear, 25 out the Storm. Now a centre field run from King as he gets toward the 30-metre line here inside the opening 40 seconds on ABC Sport. Grant to the right-hand side, the open side, and up through centre field goes Yatui Kamanu, who called the Broncos stuck up in the build up to last year's premiership decider. Grant on the last play finds Hughes. It's a probing, wobbly-looking kick, though, downfield. Sits up on its point for Reece Walsh. Loud boos there for the Brisbane fullback. He's too quick for Kamikamitha. He's collared by Munster, 30 outs on the field from his own line, and the Broncos start their first set of the game from there, Ryan Hoffman.
Yeah, strong start by the Broncos. Melbourne making the Melbourne Storm kick from well inside their 40. Good return there by Reece Walsh. He needs to inject himself in this game. The Broncos need him.
Nam dummy half finds Staggs on an angle run here, and Munster greets him. 40 out, 20 in from the western side, as Pakes dummy half finds his captain Carrigan with a big fender in there on Joe Chan, and he's dragged back towards that 40-metre line here for the Broncos. Pakes tries again, finds Haas first receiver, spins through one tackle, 5 inside Storm territory, 20 in from the far side in front of the Cameron Smith stand. Last play kick for the Broncos, and Hunt's kick goes high down towards that far corner. There is the fullback Faolongo, who's taken that number 1 jersey with aplomb at the Melbourne Storm, and he's put down 15 out from his own line here. Storm's second set of the game here. No score so far inside these first couple of minutes here on ABC Sport. NRL Friday. Earlier, the Panthers 40, the Roosters 4 at the Sydney Football Stadium. Ball shifted to the left-hand side here for Nick Meaney, and he's tackled 40 out. 20 in from the western side. Grant sets up behind him. Off here again now for Moses Leo, who scored tries in his first couple of games this season. Driven all the way back there by Ricky and also Payne Haas. Grant goes himself from dummy half. The delayed pass here towards Munster. They shift from left to right now. Hughes straightens his run there into Xavier Willison, and he'll play it 5 inside Brisbane territory. Second last play, now the last in fact for the Storm. Munster's kick goes high up in the air, sets a task for Walsh. He had Howarth bearing down on him, and he'll play it here. Walsh 12 out from his own line, deep in that northeastern corner. Broncos waste no time here. Shifted right across through centre field inside these first 3 minutes here on ABC Sport, coming your way from Amy Park in Melbourne. The Melbourne defence doing its best work there as Walsh at dummy half links up to Anderson on his first carry as a Brisbane Bronco against his former side. Early set restart goes the way of the Broncos, so a full set here, 40 out from their own line as Carrigan stands in the tackle of Munster, and also in there Yatui Kamanu. Carrigan plays it now for Pakes. Off here to Hunt. Low ball back on the inside for Payne Haas. Tries to plough his way through Joe Chan, but he's stopped there by Hughes and Big Tui. Metre short of halfway. Broncos though on play 3, 40 out from Melbourne's line. Their best sort of set so far at the back of the set restart as Pake swings it back to Ben Hunt. On to Ricky through the gap, but Munster and Tui Kamikamitha greet him. 27 out now, 20 in from the western side. The Broncos attacking the Storm's line southern end. Pakes across to Carrigan. Back on the inside for Haas, and now again Josh King swallows him up. Joe Chan there as well with Yatui Kamanu. It'll be last play Broncos, 20 out centre field. As Pakes goes to the left-hand side, cuts out towards Mam, and now Willison's lost the ball in the tackle. Ricochets back to Faolongo. It will be knock on Brisbane. A Storm scrum feed, or Storm play the ball on that last play. 10 out from that southern line, and it's Melbourne no score, Brisbane no score. 4.5 gone first half on ABC Sport. They waste no time. time, Hoffy.
Yeah, Brisbane had the first opportunity to put some pressure on the Melbourne Storm, running it on the last, which I think is a good idea against the Melbourne Storm with such a damaging fullback like Tuafalonga. You want to be getting your kicks right. If you can't, just take the tackle. Interesting for the Storm's first two sets, Harry Grant had 2 runs and was making good meters. The Broncos need to tighten up their marker work.
How is slow getting up here on play 3 for the Melbourne Storm, now played by Joe Chan, 30 out. He's Ryan Hoffman. I'm Brett Sprigg, and Ian Cohen very shortly on the sideline as Carrigan, Haas and Jensen make the tackle there on Kamikamitha. 40 out, Storm on the attack. Grant with a fend off a dummy half. Tries to just throw back through on the inside, but he's stopped on the halfway line here. Last play, Melbourne. Dummy half Falongo across to Hughes, and he punts it high and long down towards that northwestern corner. Anderson is there. There's a few boos here from the Melbourne crowd as the former Storm team member is put on his back, 12 out from his own line. 20 in from the western side. Melbourne, Brisbane, 0-0 here. NRL Friday on ABC Sport. Again, they shifted across to the left-hand side. The Brisbane Broncos trying to find a way through here through Karapani. Tackled 20 in from the eastern side this time. Walsh dummy half, and King comes across to make the tackle along with Yatoi Kamanu. So Melbourne's defence on early, and played again here to Corey Pakes. Across to Carrigan. Don to Ben Hunt. Tipped back here by Meany. Wrestled away from Anderson. Still get the football back. 20 out from Brisbane's line. Munster. So a full set here. The first of 7 now for the Melbourne Storm. And 20 out, 10 in. Tackled there is Moses Leo. Played to Grant. Open side right to Munster. Back on the inside for Josh King. And he's trying to just swarm his way through there as the defence gets him first. 12 outs in the field. Munster to Hughes. They shift to the right-hand side for Longo. The pass was too hot for Will Warbrick out the back. And it goes out over the eastern touchline. A Brisbane ball. It's Storm 0, Broncos 0. 6.5 played first half. NRL Friday on ABC Sport, and Cole on the touchline.
Yes, Frigo, describe it as a steady start, really feeling each other out. We haven't seen any overcommitment except for the last couple of plays there. So the first 5 minutes have been pretty steady. The cheer for Sewer, though, was absolutely huge when his face went up on the screen pre-match.
You can text us as always, 0467 920 222. I'm expecting a very succinct Ryan Hoffman answer here, Hoffy, but are you surprised with how Folongo has gone at fullback so far?
No, I haven't, because he did a 3-year apprenticeship at the Melbourne Storm waiting for his opportunity, and we're starting to see the rewards off it now.
5 tries in the first couple of games. Get to your text shortly here. Broncos on the attack after the Melbourne wasted an opportunity at that northern end as Jensen tackled and plays it now for the Broncos. Shifted back open side right. Payne Haas spins off one tackle there of King. Itoi Kamano takes him 8 metres out. So another set restart here for the Broncos. They had the first 2 of this game. Carrigan put down 5 inside Storm territory. Inside these first 7.5 minutes here at Amy Park. Great to have your company. Reece Walsh really saw a gap there, but Hughes tackles him 35 out. Played back here. Pakes shares it to Jensen. He gains a quick 10 more here as well. 25 out here on play 4 now the Broncos. Open side right to Carrigan. Through hands it comes. Hunt to Jordan Ricky. Low on the tackle down there is Moses Leo. Up top Cam Munster. 13 outs from that southern line. Comes the right hand side. Man, it's been lost now by Staggs. The pass came in hot. And Staggs makes the error here. So Melbourne ball, 10 out from their own line, southern end. And it remains Ryan Hoffman. Storm 0, Broncos 0, 8 gone first half.
Yeah, they've had 2 sets down there, the Brisbane Broncos inside the Melbourne Storm half, and haven't completed either. Funnily enough, they're really putting a lot of pressure on the Melbourne Storm's left edge. I think they think they can get a bit of joy around Cameron Munster. Also, both teams are getting some success spreading the ball 2 or 3 passes wide. I think the middles are quite compressed, amped up, ready to get stuck into this game.
Dion, thank you for your text. Derek and Anne say, Hart is saying Broncos. My head is saying Storm have the best call ever. Derek and Anne from Howard, Queensland. Have the best call ever. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm in good hands here with Hoffy and Coz. I have a pretty good time here in Melbourne, I reckon, generally. Howarth is tackled now, 20 out from his own line. Storm on the attack. Joe Chan with a piercing up that right edge, but he is getting a penalty here. So the first penalty of the game goes the way of the Melbourne Storm. So the Broncos have had those 2 early set restarts. That penalty for inside the 10 goes the way here against the Broncos, and Hughes finds touch on the eastern side. Reno is a great player, but he didn't connect with Walsh very well. Losing him might be a blessing in disguise, says Tim from Upper Caboolture. Thank you, Tim. And someone else says, Stefano, you play for Melbourne. How can you call anyone else stuck up? As he did last year before the grand final. Thank you, anonymous texter. Grant dummy half, you're on your Toy Commando.
They're always anonymous, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess so. 35 out centre field. Played back here to Harry Grant, the captain. Now finds Hughes. Munster with that bright pink mouth guard back on the inside to Alec McDonald, who's back from concussion and replacing Lasati, who's out with a calf injury. Now Tuikama Kamitha, devoid of options, just sort of runs it fairly straight. No real pace though into Carrigan. It's going to be set restart here as Wilson was slow getting off him. So it's Storm's first set restart of the game off the back of the penalty. Full set, 15 out. Joe Chan, tackle will play it now to his captain Grant, who runs himself from dummy half across that 10-metre line. Shares it with Munster. Little show and go here from Munster, and he takes on Ricky, and now put down. 10 out, 10 in from the western side. Another set restart here for the Storm. So a full set, 10 out from Brisbane's line, northern end. McDonald runs the footy toward the post. Haas puts him down. Still Melbourne nil, Brisbane nil, but for how long? Grant looks across the open side right, shares it with King, gets away from 1-2 tacklers, not quite get the arm free for the grounding. He's stopped a metre shy, left-hand side of the uprights. Grant to the right-hand side for Hughes. He spreads that defence for Lungo. The pass here and now. Howler slips over, still going deep in that far northeastern corner. It'll be played here to Warbrick, and he is held up in goal. So, held up in goal. Come back and play it. 10 metres out here for the Melbourne Storm with 2 tackles left this set. 11 gone first half. NRL Friday on ABC Sport. Storm Broncos, the grand final rematch, still 0-0. Hughes back on the inside now for King. He can't quite thread his way past Willison, and Carrigan will be last play Melbourne. 10 out, 20 in from the eastern side. As Grant goes himself in the half with a kick in behind the post. Daniel Tuikamano's chasing it. Did he get there? Haas was guarding it dead and may just have done so successfully, despite the desperate run there from the front rower Hoffy, and it remains Melbourne nil, Brisbane nil with 12 gone first half.
Yeah, that's a hell of a kick by Harry Grant, having big Stefano chasing after, but Payne Haas, his opposite number, did a great job just to shadow the ball over the line. They look dangerous down there, the Melbourne Storm. The Broncos need to tighten up their defence on the edges.
With this set, which starts 20 out from their own line, already on tackle 2, and Munster comes across to make the tackle there on Grant Anderson, the ex-Storm player. And swung across here from Pakes to Carrigan. Mam dummies the pass left, tackled by Joe Chan just short of the halfway. Got around the ground shortly as well here. NRL Friday on ABC Sport with Brett Sprigg, Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen down to Koza shortly. And now Payne Haas over halfway is standing and now put down the tackle of Yatoi Kamano and also Joe Chan. 40 outs in the field. Pakes dummy half. On to Mam, second last play, and now it's been lost out there by Dean Mariner, who's playing a little bit on the inside in his usual wing position with Anderson in the side, albeit on the left edge. Dean Mariner, he's lost that ball. So an error. Brisbane it remains. Storm nil, Broncos nil. Ian Cohen, touchline.
Yeah, that was one of the slower chases of the ball I've seen in that particular attempt to try and score. Speaking of big fellas, though, I'm really looking forward to seeing Cooper Clark back out there, the teenage behemoth, trimmed down from 145 kegs, and he's ready to go.
David Nowra says go Storm. Spriggy, is it time that the cowbell was banned at Melbourne's games for the fact that it creates harmonic confusion with the 6 against siren, says Tim in Lismore. I think you're being facetious, Tim, but anyway, it's all part of the fun. The bell here at the Melbourne games. Munster in a dummy half. She has a pass on to Moses Leo. As I mentioned, scored tries in his first 2 games this season. His 5th career game overall. Came from rugby sevens for New Zealand. Storm on the attack here, play 3 on halfway. Granite dummy half. On to Kamikamitha, hits the ball at speed, and now he's inside 40 metres from that northern line in front of the Billy Slater stand here at Amy Park. Grant comes back here again to King. Munster peels it left-hand side to McDonald, and he was turned up very high there from Ben Hunt. Legal says the ref here. Last play Melbourne. Munster first receiver. Flick pass wide here. Leo on to Meany. Back to Munster. Long crossfield ball. Storm, watch out. It's come off Warbrick, forward into the path of Mam, and the Broncos go back on the overlap here, deep in that north-eastern corner of Annie Park. So Broncos on the attack here. It's still Melbourne 0, Brisbane 0 here. NRL Friday on ABC Sport, and that will be the first penalty Melbourne gives away in this game for inside the 10. And it's the penalty count of 1 all so far. Scoreline 0-all, 14 gone first half. Ryan Hoffman.
Yeah, he's been quite involved, Todd Smith, but he's being fair to both teams. Look, the Melbourne Storm doesn't... Oh, here we go. A bit of back chat from Harry Grant, which is not what you want from your captain in a tight game. You don't want to be inviting the opposition into your own end.
By the way, it was Joel from Newcastle who put his name in the text earlier, talking about the whole stuck-up thing. Yeah, look, people are allowed to sort of to have different interpretations of different clubs and whether they have a right to be called stuck-up or not. But anyway, I fancy you're not Robinson Crusoe there, Joel, as far as, you know, not liking the Melbourne Storm for whatever reason. The Storm know that. 15 gone first half. Comes to Carrigan here off the back of the penalty, and he's 5 inside Storm territory. Earlier, by the way, the Panthers 40 beat the Roosters 4 at the Sydney Footy Stadium. Hunt the inside ball here now to Corey Jensen, and the former Cowboy. His 149th NRL game has tackled 35 outs on the field. Played to pace. Now Carrigan on to Hunt, left-hand side for Mam. Shrugs one tackler, and now Chan greets him, and Mam surrenders. 30 out, 15 in from the eastern side here on the second last play for the Broncos. It's a run from Haas. He gains a dozen. 20 out now on that left-hand side of the field. Short side they come. Pakes finds Mound. He runs it himself here, but Kamikamitha stops him and spins him. And that will be a changeover. 12 out from that Storm line at Southern End. It remains Melbourne 0, Brisbane 0. 16 gone first half at Annie Park. Ian Coe on the touchline.
Yeah, when you have a look at the fact that Broncos have conceded 66 points in their opening 2 games, they'll be pretty happy to have just held Storm scoreless so far in this particular half.
Around the grounds, AFL second quarter in Adelaide. Bulldogs 22, Adelaide 18. Oh, the scores there in the Super Rugby first half. Here's almost a break now from Faralongo. And he's stopped, though, by Payne Haas. 8 short of the halfway. Grant on to Hughes. The Broncos defensive line under pressure here is Joe Chan, now tackled 40 out. Played to Grant, open side left, Kamikamitha on that second last. 30 out, 20 in, eastern side. Played to his captain Grant, on to Hughes. Direct some traffic here, the pass to Munster, on to Falongo again. Touch on to Moses Leo, flick pass, went behind Meany and out over the western touchline. They'll get the ball back, Brisbane, 15 out from that northern end. It's still no score here at Annie Park, the Broncos and the Storm in the grand final rematch. And the Super Rugby I mentioned first half, Chiefs 14, Brumbies 7. A-League men first half, Wanderers 1, Adelaide United 1. As I mentioned in the NRL earlier, Penrith 40, the Sydney Roosters 4. So the Broncos waste no time here, Hoffy. 17 going first half. Tackled and playing it down there, Karapani. Mam dummy half. And on here to Dean Mariner. He scored the first try in the grand final last year. One of 2 he scored in that game. He's come back to Katoni Staggs. And now coming in there as well. In fact, it's Wilson, it is, who's tackled. Play it there for Pakes. On to Hunt. Back now to Jordan Ricky. And he's brought down 5 metres short of the halfway. 20 in from the western side. With second last now as they come short side right. Pakes slipped the tackle up. Munster almost lost the ball. It's going to be still the last here for the Broncos. Hunt. Dummies a pass left. Should have Ricky. The back rower kicks up in the air. That goes out on the full over the western touchline. Not far away from you, Ian Cohen.
I could have competed for that one, I reckon. I might have been able to keep it in. The completion rate's a bit of an issue for the Broncos. 55%, Storm at 90.
18 gone, 22 left first half here. Hoffy, it's still no score.
Yeah, look, the Melbourne Storm there, not having much luck on the edges. Neither team is having much luck on the edges with some poor options and some errors coming from it. Where the Melbourne Storm has managed to break this game open a bit is through the middle. I mentioned it before. Harry Grant making some metres to a far longer. As we see an error from Moses Leo.
Leo in the play the ball. So another Storm error here, which gives the ball back to the Brisbane Broncos near the halfway stripe. A sellout crowd here tonight. By the way, I should mention, if you want to hear the call, a lot of you text in saying listening to us, you're watching on TV with the ABC commentary or you're at the game. ABC Sport Rapid on the ABC Listen app. You can hear us in no delay or less delay to keep up with the action here, whether it's at the ground or on TV at home. ABC Sport Rapid gives you our commentary with only a very slight delay, and you can sort of sync it up a bit better, I suppose, with the TV if you're watching at home. Payne Haas will be tackled now, 6 metres short of the halfway, almost stolen away by Chan. It's going to be a set restart as Chan didn't let go as he was tackled. So ruck infringement, set restart Broncos on the first of 6 inside Melbourne territory. Pakes dummy half, across here to Willison, stands in the tackle of Josh King and Jerome Hughes. 35 out, 20 in from the eastern side. Pakes fires at the right-hand side. Paddy Carrigan straightens his run, but he's just driven back there by Kamikamitha, and also in there McDonald will play it 30 outs in the field. Pakes across to Haas on to Mam. Left edge they go. Mariner, but he's caught him back here, Todd Smith. It'll be penalty storm. The Broncos were offside. So 20 gone, 20 left in this first half. An obstruction here for Brisbane. So Melbourne 0, Brisbane 0 so far in the grand final rematch, Ryan Hoffman.
Yeah, Davey Willison just ran straight at Jerome Hughes there, which used all his experience to make sure that he had contact made on him. And the penalty for the Melbourne Storm. The Melbourne Storm have an opportunity here. They didn't take their last one with Moses Leo knocking the ball on and the play the ball. They need to be getting their kick.
So penalty count in the game so far, 3-2 the Storm's way. Now a set restart going the home side's way. As Grant feeds the ball on here to Will Warbrick. And he's just thrashing away at the defence here. 35 out centre field. Another set restart on back-to-back tackles here for the Broncos defence. Josh King now on a probing run for the Melbourne Storm. 27 out, left-hand side of the uprights. Played to Harry Grant. 19:50 left in this first half on ABC Sport NRL Friday. And now the run out there first off the bench is Trent Liero. Back from his suspension, which he got from the grand final last year. Moses Leo, a couple of early errors. Darts across the defensive line, takes on Carrigan, stopped 8 out, right-hand side of the post. We'll play it there for Grant on tackle 4. Left behind there on the inside now, and reaching for the line. Not quite there from Itoika Manu. Played to Grant, shifts it left-hand side. Munster kicks off the back of the Broncos. 6 more Storm. Repton it was played at, and Munster gets the footy back. So a full set now for the Storm. 20 out, 10 out, 20 in from the western side. Come to Hughes. Back on the inside of Trent Liero. He takes on Jordan Ricky. 8 out, dead's in the field here for the Storm. Attacking that northern line. Grant back to Munster. Can something happen here? It's still 0-0 so far. Munster back to Jerome Hughes. He just stops and assesses the options. Shares it now again with Jack Howarth. And he's brought down by Ezra Mam. 12 out, right-hand side of the sticks. Grant across to Hughes. They'll shift it from right to left here. Munster on again here. Leo, the pass out wide to Mini. And again, the Broncos defence swarms on him deep in that northwestern corner. There remains no score here. This will be second last play Melbourne. 18.5 left of the break. Leo dummy half. Across to Munster. Across now again to Harry Grant. Flat pass onto Jerome Hughes. And now Joe Chan got it on here. Back to Suafalongo, who burst through and dived in the score just to the right of the posts. His 6th try this year. Suafalongo can never be too far from the action. He scores the first points tonight. 4-0 Melbourne kick to come. 18 left first half. NRL Friday on ABC Sport, Ryan Hoffman.
Yeah, it was just pressure from the Melbourne Storm. The Broncos just gave too many opportunities inside their own half. I've got to admit, that set for the Melbourne Storm, it was a bit sideways. It was lateral. Joe Chan hits a great hole, but managed to get the one-on-one tackle. And like his mentor, Billy Slater, Suafalongo shows up at the right place at the right time to crossman number 6 for the year for him.
A hat-trick last week and a good start on as well for Suafalongo. Touchline we go, Ian Cohen.
He's already leading most tries, of course, going into this weekend, but another one for Sua. Absolute crowd favourite. Ryan Pappenhausen certainly was. And before him, Billy Slater, we go all the way back to Robbie Wright. across. Melbourne Storm has certainly been spoilt for some great fullbacks, and Sewer, as Hoffy said, has done his apprenticeship. Now it's his time to shine, and he's making the most of it.
It was building, Hoffy. That play from Melbourne, it wasn't the tidiest avenue to the try line, but after some wasted opportunities in the first 21 minutes, Longo breaks the deadlock.
But it just shows that they were just going sideways. So all it took was one person to straighten up the attack and hit a hole and created something. Great work, Joey Chan.
It's your text shortly as well, 0467 920 222. Paul Wollongong says, haven't heard Walsh called much. He's had a couple of touches, but it hasn't been the best start for the Broncos as far as their 50% completion rate so far.
That's the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the game. And I've got to admit, it's been quite a stop-start game with all the 6 agains and penalties. No team has managed to get into a rhythm.
Harry Grant, 12 out here, almost directly in front. Very slight angle right-hand side. Flags are up.
Hang on, where's Harry Grant kicking goals? Where's Nick Meaney? Nick Meaney's in the hands of the trainer.
There we go. I'll get to Koza shortly once we've got more information about that. Koza, we might get down to you now.
Yeah, it was after the try was scored. Nick Meaney was down on his haunches at probably 30 out, and he's now still really feeling it. He took a couple of tablets. I reckon it's lower back. It seems to be lower back, and he's huddled over again. They're going to take him off. He's not in very good shape at the moment. He's taking big breaths. He might stay on. They were talking about taking him off, but I reckon, Hoffy, it looks like a lower back or maybe hip issue.
Yeah, it looks like a hip point to me.
He's still out there. Harry Grant 1 from 1, by the way. Melbourne 6, Brisbane 0 the scoreline here in the grand final rematch. NRL Friday on ABC Sport. Brett Sprigg, Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen with you as Vito Kamano brings it back from the kickoff. Carrigan and Ricky greet him. 12 out to his own line. Storm with the first points. Cookie Tigers listening in on the old radio. Pretty much spot on live with the TV. Penrith definitely the benchmark. Up there 40 points to 4 win earlier. Thank you, Cookie Tigers. I think that's how you put your name there. As Harry Grant will have it 40 out from his own line. Farlongo the try scorer. Across to Trent Loiero. And he stopped 5 short of the halfway line here. On play 4 now for the Storm as Grant goes with a low pass to the right-hand side for Sua Farlongo. Debuted against the Broncos 2.5 years ago. Comes to Jerome Hughes. Running kick last play. High down towards the corner there for Reece Walsh. Kept his feet there. It's touched back here by the Storm. Still the last. Munster driven in from behind there by his Ben Talty out there off the bench for the Broncos. Yes, indeed. So it will be a changeover. Brisbane ball 15 out from their own line at Northern End.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Storm do with Nick Meaney. Obviously, last year in the grand final, they lost Jack Howarth early, which messed up their rotation. But they do have Sualangi Tuamalatu Brown on the bench, who is an outside back who made his debut last year as an option.
Melbourne 6, Brisbane 0 the scoreline here at Amy Park. A sold out Amy Park is the only big ticket sporting event in Melbourne tonight. Played there by Anderson. A dummy half Pakes across here to Staggs. And he takes on one tackle there of Leo. Stopped by Nick Meaney, who's still out there for the time being, despite obvious discomfort with his back or hip area. 15 left in the first half here at Amy Park. Played by Ricky, 5 short of the halfway. Pakes across to Carrigan. Broncos on the attack already on the second last. Now the last for the Broncos, 5 inside Storm territory. Pakes across to Walsh. The fullback will kick on the last play. Hangs in there for a fair old while. It's allowed to bounce. They'll chase it back here. Warbrick with Mam. Mam gets there first. Still alive here for Mariner, perhaps. I fancy it was knocked on here by the Broncos, and it will be a Melbourne ball. 10 out from their own line, Southern End. 14 and a half left here in the first half at Amy Park with the Storm 6, the Broncos 0. Back to Ian Cohen on the touchline.
Yeah, Tuimalatu Brown has been warming up obviously at the moment, conscious of Nick Meaney being in distress at this stage, and Meaney's kept himself out of the contest for the last couple of minutes.
Back to some of your texts shortly as well. Come through thick and fast, especially on a Friday evening. 0467 920 222. Storm on the attack, 22 out. And now they run the footy through Trent Loiero. Served his couple of weeks off the back of the grand final sin binning. Grant dummy half across to Munster. Back on the inside now for Farlongo. As always, quick with ball in hand, and now he does surrender here in the tackle of Willison. 12 short of the halfway here for the Storm on the second last. Grant looks left but goes right to Jerome Hughes. He's too quick for Pakes. He dashes back on the inside, and now he's brought down in there by Telty and also Willison. 5 short of the halfway. Last play Melbourne, 6-0 their lead as Munster punts it high and long down towards the wing there for Anderson, his former teammate, and the Broncos go back on the attack, 20 out from their own line.
Yeah, interesting. Payne Haas went off about 5 minutes ago. It shows the amount of work that he has done in the attack, but he was very well handled by the Melbourne Storm. Marcus working hard, getting out there, attacking his legs. You take Payne Haas's legs, it takes out a lot of his drive in the tackles.
Voice of Premiership winner Ryan Hoffman here on ABC Sport. 13 left first half in the Victorian capital, where it's played now for the Broncos. Mariner on play 4, still stuck in centre field, no more than 35 out from their own line. Telty will play it there for Pakes. Goes right hand side this time for Carrigan, rips it across to Hunt, and now Walsh onto the wing here for Anderson, takes on Munster, lost the footy in the process. Another Brisbane error. He's going to penalty back here, says Todd Smith, on Reece Walsh, who was taken late. Oh, wow. Wow, I want to see it again.
Yeah, because I actually watched it in real time, and he was hit by Moses Leo as he passed, and he landed hard on his back, but I don't think it was... Anyway, the referee's made his decision.
So the penalty count was 2-2, in fact. Now it's going to be 3-2 Brisbane's way.
But it was Brisbane attacking the edge of Nick Meaney, and they got through quite easily.
Here's the Leo. Oh, it constitutes late contact. Walsh does sort of throw himself back a little bit as well. That's probably what the Storm fans are realising as they find touch on the western side, the Broncos. Can they make this attacking thrust count? They've just been so error-riddled so far. 0-2 across the year so far, the defending champs, and now Ricky is brought down. 30 out, 20 in from the western side closest to us. Pakes goes open side left, on again to Telty. Half break here before Liero stops him. 17 away, right hand side of the uprights. Play 3 here for the Broncos. Pakes delivers to Carrigan, and he's to within 8 metres now of that Melbourne Storm line. Play it there for Pakes. Across to Ben Hunt. Inside ball, Telty. Liero brings him down, and so too Harry Grant. 8 out, dead centre here for the Broncos. Pakes across the left-hand side. Walsh to Carrigan, and off-footed here, but it was untidy. Picked up by Forlongo, and he's just brought down before he could explode away. Tackle there from Dean Mariner. So the Storm go back on the attack. 8 out from their own line. It's they who lead. 6-0 over the Broncos. 11 and a half left before the break.
You're not going to beat the Melbourne Storm unless you put pressure on them, and you're certainly not putting pressure on them if you don't complete your sets inside their 20. There needs to be a lot of improvement there from Brisbane as Forlongo makes a break.
He does here on the halfway. Got support with Hughes. He was run down, though, Jerome Hughes. A great chase out there from Karapani. 35 out from that northern line. Open side left they come for Forlongo. And now again, Munster. It's second last play here for the Storm as Liero is offloading here back to Forlongo, who skips into the defensive line there. Pake stops him with Carrigan, and play at 25 out centre field. Grant open side left here on the last play. Munster, a little show and go. Now a kick up in the air. Anderson launch off the wing there. Brings it down. The Broncos will play it 15 out from that northern end. It is Melbourne Storm 6, Brisbane Broncos 0. 10:40 left in this first half on ABC Sport. This is NRL Friday on ABC Sport as the Broncos waste no time. Here is Reece Walsh.
Surrender!
And he's taken there by Liero and also Joe Chan.
You surrendered race 3.
Comes across here. 30 out from their own line. Xavier Willison's been busy early here for the Brisbane Broncos, but they try the game so far. Scored to Forlongo. Now Paddy Carrigan shrugs away one tackler. It's the last here for the Broncos. 40 out. Open side right. On here to Ben Hunt. He kicks him inside 40. Goes high down towards Nick Meaney. He'll take it 15 out from his own line. Swinging across now to his fullback Forlongo, and Willison stops him in concert with Piakura. So Piakura's out in the action as well. So they've used Piakura and Ben Telty Hoffy off the bench so far, the Brisbane Broncos. Almost curiosity about how they've used the six-man bench teams this year. Back here, 6-0 their lead, 9.5 left of the break at Amy Park in Melbourne. A sold-out grand final rematch, and it's played by Moses Leo, who is captain Grant Liero. A little pump across here towards Jerome Hughes. And they'll have the 40 out, 20 in from the eastern side. Grant dummy half on here again to Alec McDonald. And he's stopped by Pakes and also Talty, played just inside Broncos territory. Hughes runs it here from first receiver. That right foot kick goes up in the air. Walsh will launch this time. And it's back to the Storm. They're on the path of Chan. Push the pass back now to Warbrick. Steps across. Needs options. Hughes, one of them, who has pushed off the kick. It trickles inside the in-goal area. Taken by Mann for the Brisbane Broncos. Back in the field of play, and Mann is stopped 10 out from that northern line. So Melbourne didn't make the most of that. They still lead 6-0. We've got 8:40 left in the half of footy. Broncos back on the attack. They've looked not far off at times, have they, Hoffy? But they just can't complete their sets. So here they go, Anderson. Taken down low from behind there by Grant. Pakes dummy half to Walsh. Kicks from inside 40. Doesn't have the angle here. Falongo's chasing it. Great 40-20 there from Reece Walsh. He finds touch. 17 out from that southern line. That was just inventive, ingenious stuff from the fullback. He's having a very ordinary start to the year, but they'll get possession here inside the Melbourne red zone.
Yeah, but this is the time of the game in the grand final last year where he started to inject himself. Very close to when he scored that miracle try just before half time. This could be the moment. This could be the moment where Reece Walsh has turned the game for the Broncos.
So, Brisbane tap here, 20 out. It comes back to Payne Haas. So he's showing no signs of discomfort here after spending some time off the ground earlier. 15 out from that southern line, played there to Pakes. Off here again to Talty, and he's 9 metres out, left-hand side of the upright. 6-0 the Melbourne lead. Set restart Brisbane. 10 out from Melbourne's line. Comes to Hunt, and now Jordan Ricky, who's slammed on his back down there by Cooper Clark. Also in the action now for the Melbourne Storm. Meanwhile, Broncos on the attack as Hunt receives the footy here. On to Mam, left-hand side. Inside ball again now to Mariner, and he's to within 2 metres now of that Melbourne Storm line. Dummy half Pakes to Carrigan. Back to the right-hand side, Hunt. At the back here again. It's been lost by Staggs. Another Brisbane error. Pass was full anyway, I think, says the referee. So, meanwhile, Munster and Anderson get tussled up here. And Anderson throws the ball back at the fonts of Cameron Munster. It'll happen not far away from you, Ian Cohen on the touchline.
Yeah, getting a little bit spicy as we get into the shadows of this opening term, and obviously conversion, as I said, completion rather, a problem for the Broncos. They're at 61%, Storm are up near 90, and there was a huge roar for the teenage Titan when he went on as well, Cooper Clark. So they're sticking with Meany at the moment. They haven't brought him off, but Cooper Clark has gone on.
He debuted against the Dragons last week, Cooper Clark. New South Wales under 19s play. It was SG Ball Player of the Year last year. Bigger ups on the big forward. Still a teenager. Here goes Will Warbrick. 35 out from his own line here for Melbourne. 6-0. 6 minutes left in the first half on ABC Sport from Amy Park. Which I know some of you love the mention of that name. It's the exception to our editorial stadium rule. 40 out from that southern line. And here it goes across to Trent Liero. And he's dragged down 2 metres short of the halfway. Play it now for Harry Grant. Second last play, but he kicks early here, Harry Grant, from dummy half. Finds Karapani and Walsh out of position. This goes almost to the touching goal line. Picked up in front of the corner flag there by Karapani. He trots across the defensive line here. Cooper Clark makes the tackle on him. Great teamwork from Munster and Clark. 5 out from that northern line here. Broncos deep in their own end as the ball comes to Anderson on play 2, and he's still 8 out from his own line.
As good as that kick was for the 40-20 from Reece Walsh, that kick out of dummy half by Harry Grant is just as good. He spotted Reece Walsh out of position, pinned the Broncos down in their own end, tackle 3, they're only just outside their 10. That is pressure.
5 minutes left first half here. And on ABC Sport now, it's been lost again by the Broncos. Wow. That is now, what's that, 8 errors in this first half from the Brisbane Broncos.
Oh, they're their own worst enemy, but that was a great captain's play by Harry Grant. He was the first one down in that kick chase as well. That's what pressure builds. It creates errors, and that's what the Melbourne Storm are doing to the Broncos.
Jeff in Sunshine says Todd Smith and Walsh combined combining for a momentum changer. Maybe if Broncos wore real colours, might be able to complete their sets properly. Fetting, and they think they look ridiculous. The Broncos, says Joy. It's a very strong.
2006 would disagree with you.
Yeah, it's a grand final winning jersey. Jimmy says, if you have the... here we go. Storm, wait for this tap here from Cameron Munster, who receives the ball and now gains a quick 10 more metres. He's 15 out, and this will be played through now for the Storm. 6-0 their lead. Comes back to Alec McDonald, and he's brought down there by Piakura, Tulty and Haas. 8 out, right-hand side of the post. Set restart Melbourne. Comes back on the inside from Hughes to King. He squirts out the offload here for Fa'alongo, the only try scorer in the game so far. Still Fa'alongo, and now he's stopped. 5 out, right-hand side of the post. Play it there for Harry Grant. Tackle 2 after the set restart. 3:55 left to half-time as Hughes across to Munster, and now Clark. Can he find his first career try? Tackled 5 away. Grant goes from dummy half. Fires the pass right to Hughes. Spreads it wide back here again now for Joe Chan. Wrong foot's Ezra Mann. Comes toward the post now before Pakes gets him, and so too Haas. Meter out now from that northern line. Grant across to Munster on play 4. Little show and go here from Munster. Still going. Ricky gets him, and he also stopped there by Ben Hunt. 5 minutes out now there for the Melbourne Storm. It's going to be penalty Melbourne. Todd Smith just explaining to Ben Hunt. Just a little overzealous there, the contact as he was getting up to play it, Cameron Munster. So he wanted Ben Hunt sent to the bin, I think, or was it Reece Walsh in there he's pointing to?
Yeah, Reece Walsh came in with a shoulder into the head of Cameron Munster. It's a very interesting decision here for the Storm, whether or not they go to the 2 or keep building pressure.
Penalty count 3-all then.
Oh, here we go.
That's what Smith's just having on report. Oh, was it the Ben Hunt? Oh no, it was Reece Walsh that came in. So Hunt gets him initially. There's a swinging arm from Ben Hunt across the chops of Cameron Munster, and then Walsh comes in.
Yeah, sort of hit him from behind.
So Reece Walsh is the player of report.
Yeah, it's definitely what wasn't bin worthy, but definitely penalty sufficient. Look, I find it interesting the Storm are taking the 2 here. I know it's 2 points they don't have, but they don't have their first choice. And to be honest, I don't think Harry Grant would be their third choice kicker, but he's lining up the shot for the Storm.
Had one successful conversion earlier, Harry Grant, after the injury to Nick Meaney, which he's still out there, Nick Meaney. He's just not kicking. He had sort of some lower back or hip discomfort.
Yeah, I've just had a crack at Harry's goal kicking, and he could kick this here to make me look very stupid.
He's on a 45-degree angle here. 13 or 14 metres out, the left-hand side of the post. He is a right foot goal kicker, so the right side for a right footer to make it an 8-0 Melbourne Storm scoreline here at Amy Park in Melbourne. In comes Harry Grant, and over it goes. So the Black Dot Hoffy. Yep. He's 2 from 2. It is Melbourne 8, Brisbane 0. 2 minutes and 10 seconds left of the halftime break. Ian Cohen on the touchline.
Well, I think if you ask Storm supporters, they probably think Harry Grant can leap tall buildings as well, I would suggest, because there's not much he can't do. He's that burrowing forward as well, just inches from the line. He sets up the kick that Hoffy spoke about before. Very clever player, and now he's added a bit of converting and goal kicking to his resume.
But Billy in the taxi in Brisbane, oh no, have Broncos jumped into the DeLorean and gone back to 2024. Yeah, it's not been a premiership defence-worthy start to season, that's for sure. 8-0 the Melbourne lead here as Josh King hits it up on resumption off Paddy Carrigan. Get to more of your texts at half-time, 0467 920 222. By the way, in the AFL, the Bulldogs 47 leads Adelaide 26 in the AFL's final night footy. Penalty here going Melbourne's way as Cooper Clark came down hard. It was a high tackle and seeing a replay, Ben Hunt got him and said sorry straight away to Cooper Clark. So penalty Melbourne. What was I saying? I keep getting the penalty count wrong. It's actually 4, make it now 5-2 going Melbourne's way. It was 3-3, 4, 5-2 now. Just short of the halfway. Tap by Moses Leo. 50 seconds left here in the grand final rematch. Last year's 2 best teams. Liero stop there, 5 short of the halfway. Time for one more here for Melbourne. 40 seconds left. There's a good post-contact run there from Cooper Clark. Eventually, Staggs hanging on for dear life. Stopped him. Off the deck, scooped up by Harry Grant. Dummy half Munster to Leo. Has Mini on the outside now, but he goes himself and he's dragged down by Walsh. 25 seconds left. Play for Melbourne. 8-0 their lead. Grant, from right to left they go. Now back to the right-hand side here, Liero. And now Fa'alongo fires the pass to to Will Warbrick. Carapani collars him. 10 seconds left. 10 out from Brisbane's line. Melbourne have this last play. Away it comes. 5 seconds left in the half. Hughes tries to dart back on the inside of Carrigan. Still going. Offloads back to Joe Chan, who strikes one tackle, falls over the line and scores the Storm's second try right on the bell of half-time. 12-0 Melbourne kick to come. Joe Chan, the try scorer, that had been threatening Hoffy, and they make the Brisbane Broncos pay right on 40 minutes.
Oh, that is a huge strike by the Melbourne Storm. They were down at their own end. A penalty for a head-high shot gets them down and attacking. The last play of the half, Jerome Hughes says, I'm going to do it, takes it on, one-on-one, and gets the offload to Joe Chan. He's arguably been, along with Saul Farlongo, Melbourne Storm's best player these first two games. Very well deserved. He had a hand in the first try and scores the second.
All right, before I get to Koza, just having a look here. So 87% completion rate in the half of footy, 57% possession for the Melbourne Storm, just 55% completion for the Broncos. So 9 errors in attack for the Brisbane Broncos in that half of footy. And by the way, and I mentioned Reece Walsh on report a short time ago as well for the high shot. And just one more time, I'll get this right. Penalty count 4-3 Melbourne. I keep thinking penalties conceded, penalties received. 4-3 Melbourne is my final answer. Here is their very unlikely goal kicker, Harry Grant, who, by the way, is 2 from 2 tonight. 1 conversion, 1 penalty. He put away the Suafolongo try earlier at the halfway stage of this opening 40, and a penalty a short time ago. And now to add the extras on the Joe Chan try before we head to the sheds at half time and make it 14-0 Melbourne. So Harry Grant is 12 metres out here, only a very slight angle right hand side. Hush falls over this sold out Amy Park crowd. The Melbourne captain waits with ball on the tee. And he comes, 3 from 3, Harry Grant. Up go the flames, up go the flags. And it is indeed a 14-0 Melbourne Storm scoreline here in Melbourne for the second of our 2 Friday night blockbusters. Ian Cohen, your thoughts on the opening half from the touchline?
Well, it took a long time to actually get busy for Melbourne Storm, and the Broncos would have been happy that they held them really for the first quarter or the first half of that half. So the Broncos were doing well. They just couldn't hold on to the ball themselves. They were letting themselves down. They had opportunities. They had the really good 40-20, and then Storm just, you only need to give them a sniff, like we saw with Joe Chan, and suddenly they're over and you're 14-0 at half-time. So the Broncos are well and truly into this match. They just need to hold on to the ball and make better use of the possessions they've got. Storm will be happy going in at 14-0.
Tries to Suafolongo on the 21st minute, and indeed Joe Chan, as we just heard there, right before half-time, in the dying seconds of that first half. So that will be just so lamentable, Brian Hoffman, for Michael Maguire. They give away points, valuable points. This game just gets further and further away from them.
Oh, they're their own worst enemy. They are dead set shooting themselves in the foot with a 12 gauge every time that they're getting the ball at the moment. And look, to be quite honest, the Melbourne Storm haven't really found a rhythm. I think the Melbourne Storm are playing way too laterally. It's just been moments, big moments from big players that have managed to I can't believe they're 14 ahead, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
But that just shows the class of the Melbourne Storm. Look, the Brisbane Broncos, they've got to sort their attack out and sort it out quick, because I can see another big scoreline happening if they don't do that.
It was a bit like last week in Wollongong. So they won 18-14 the half-time score. They won 46-20 over the Dragons.
That's
so
it.
if they find those moments in games, they can score on you.
Melbourne Storm can score tries and score them in clumps quickly. So, look, Michael Maguire's going to have to look his players in the eye at half-time and really ask them, are they committed to do the tough stuff tonight?
14-0 was the half-time score in last year's grand final, wasn't it?
No, Reece Walsh scored before half-time, didn't he?
Pretty sure. I had all this stuff from last year's GF, but I'm trying to figure out whether that's actually true. No, 22-12. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, anonymous texter, for making me think about that.
They must have switched off at the 30-minute mark.
0467 920 222. Blogger from Rocky says, I'm not sure if the performance of Mariner has warranted the dropping of Shiba, who missed the tackles last week trying to double cover man. Really poor decision. I mentioned Jeff in Sunshine's text. Thank you, Jeff. I've mentioned you, Joy, as well. Kirk from Townsville says Brisbane will be lucky to beat the bye the way they're playing this year. It's been raining for so long, but it won't stop us sitting in the hot tub listening to the call. Hope Harry Grant tons up. He's our unanimous number 2 Supercoach pick, second only to Milky Jenkins, who scored 4 tries for the Panthers tonight. Tom Jenkins. Cheers from the Reaver lads in Jindabyne. Where is Jimmy said, I was getting Jimmy text before, regarding ABC Sport Rapid. This is the way you can listen to our footy calls with no delay or significantly less delay if you follow the game on TV or at the ground. Jimmy says if you have pay TV or the streaming service, better off listening to regular ABC Sport on the Listen app than pausing the TV 5 seconds or so. You can do that as well, Jimmy. I think it works better for you if you're at the ground, and it's like a delay of maybe a second or so here. Tim and Lismore, thank you for your series of text messages. Cheers, George, who's loving ABC Sport Rapid as well, which is our live commentary I mentioned. And thank you to those who have sent texts so far. Nick at Albury says, any chance the rest could call the Broncos forward pass? Well, right now the Broncos aren't completing any passes or steps anyway, so it makes a difference. 14-0 is the halftime scoreline here. Paul says, I think the number 6 is also responsible for letting in a few tries. Yeah, someone mentioned Ezra Mam earlier as well.
Yeah, that's where the tries have come through, the Broncos left edge.
Thank you for your text. Keep them coming. 0467 920 222. You're with Brett Sprigg, Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen here at Amy Park in Melbourne. Around the grounds, halftime in the AFL in Adelaide. The Bulldogs lead the Crows 47-32. In the A-League men's second half, the Wanderers and Adelaide are also at 2 goals all. In the A-League women, Wellington 3, Sydney FC 1, second half score. Halftime, Brisbane Roar, Newcastle Jets 0-0. In the Super Rugby, the Chiefs 17 lead the ACT Brumbies 7. And as I mentioned earlier, at the Sydney Football Stadium, the Penrith Panthers 40 dismantled the Sydney Roosters 4. Luke Lewis gave 3 points to Nathan Cleary, 2 to Dylan Edwards, and 1 to Brian To'o, who scored a fantastic first half try. Double chip and chase from Brian To'o to score a try in the first half. To score a try in the first half. Tom Jenkins scored 4 tries, as we touched on as well. So the Panthers beating the Roosters earlier at the Sydney Footy Stadium. More to come from us here in Melbourne. The Storm 14, the Broncos 0. Right now, time for ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Sam Wilkinson. Cyclone Narelle is approaching communities on Western Cape York, having weakened to a Category 2. Joshua McIntosh reports.
The still powerful system has spent the past 12 hours crossing the peninsula, having made landfall this morning near Cowan. There's a warning area which spans across Western Cape York between Mapoon and Pomperau, including Weipa, Arakoon and adjacent inland areas. Power has been cut in a number of communities, while phones have also been impacted. Telstra Regional General Manager Rachel Cliff says Arakoon has faced most of the telecommunications outages.
We need to get some eyes on the ground, and we'll be arranging a technician to attend as soon as possible when it's safe to do so.
The system's due to cross into the Gulf of Carpentaria by tomorrow.
And Bobby Nukamajaba, chairman of the Yugulmungi Development Aboriginal Corporation, says preparations have begun as soon as warnings were issued.
We've been preparing since day one within our community, and we've been just having an ongoing local emergency meeting with the police, and police were really good, and we've been working together very well.
European Union leaders say war in the Middle East has left several nations that are dependent on oil imports incredibly vulnerable. Members met in Brussels to discuss concerns over the global impacts of the US and Israeli war on Iran and its influence on energy pricing and supplies. The EU has demanded a moratorium on strikes on water and energy infrastructure and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson says the global energy market is unstable.
We are worried, even more so all the countries that are heavily dependent on gas deliveries, and where gas is the defining pricing mechanism for electricity. So of course this is very worrying. There are many things worrying about this war. Some of them affect mainly the region, but this is a clear example also of global consequences.
The International Energy Agency wants Australians to work from home as part of a range of actions to ease the effects of Middle East oil disruptions. Noni Edwards reports.
The IEA has a series of measures it says governments and consumers can take to reduce demand for oil. As well as boosting remote work, they suggest reducing speed limits by at least 10 kilometres per hour for cars, vans and trucks, while encouraging public transport use and carpooling. Air travel should be avoided, they say, where alternatives exist. And in the kitchen, LPG should be replaced with electric cooking. The conflict has triggered the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. Normally around 20% of global oil consumption flows through the Strait of Hormuz, but it's now slowed to a trickle.
A fire at a car parts factory in the South Korean city of Daejeon has injured at least 55 people, 24 of them seriously. Authorities are still searching for at least 14 others believed to have been inside when the blaze broke out. Firefighters are struggling to contain the blaze, with efforts focused on preventing fire spread, as personnel were unable to enter the factory due to risks of structural collapse. Witnesses reported hearing an explosion before fire spread rapidly, but the exact cause of the blaze is unknown. South Australian One Nation candidate Aoi Baxter has a warrant for his arrest in the UK for failing to show up to court after he was charged with an alleged sexual offence. Olivia Mason reports.
A UK court has confirmed that Aoi Baxter, also known as Trent Baxter, was charged with sexually touching a woman without consent. A court officer stated the charges related to a breach of the Sexual Offences Act and events occurring in September 2023. Mr Baxter did not respond to multiple requests for comment, but in a statement, One Nation says the party has today been made aware by the media of allegations. The statement says Mr Baxter may have a warrant in the United Kingdom for failing to appear at a court hearing, which was not disclosed to One Nation by Mr Baxter, and it's unclear if this relates to the same individual.
And former AFL star Jonathan Brown has revealed he had surgery to remove a brain tumour. Fraser Fife reports.
The 44-year-old shared the news on his Instagram page. He says after undergoing a routine scan, he was made aware of a shadow on his brain that turned out to be a low-grade brain tumour. He underwent surgery on Wednesday and had a positive outcome. He says he will now take some time to rest and recover. Jonathan Brown played 15 seasons with the Brisbane Lions and won 3 premierships. He also won a Coleman Medal and was a 2-time All-Australian.
You're up to date with the latest ABC News. For more news, search for top stories on the ABC Listen app.
Get your footy fix with ABC AFL Daily Podcast. Corbin Middlemass and Ben Cameron are joined by a cast of AFL legends to pull apart the biggest stories in Aussie rules. Search for the ABC AFL Daily Podcast on ABC Listen.
ABC sports coverage of the 2026 NRL Premiership.
They'll shift it from right to left here. Munster on again here. Leo, the pass out wide to Mini, and again the Broncos defence swarms on him deep in that northwestern corner. There remains no score here. This will be second last play Melbourne. 18.5 left of the break. Leo dummy half across to Munster. Across now again to Harry Grant. Flat pass onto Jerome Hughes, and now Joe Chan got it on here. Back to Suafailongo, who burst through and dived in to score just to the right of the posts. His 6th try this year. Suafailongo can never be too far from the action, and he scores the first points tonight. 10 seconds left. 10 out from Brisbane's line. Melbourne have this last play. Away it comes. 5 seconds left in the half. Hughes tries to dart back on the inside of Carrigan. Still going. Offload back to Joe Chan, who shrugs one tackle, falls over the line and scores the Storm's second try right on the bell of half-time.
ABC sports coverage of the 2026 NRL Premiership.
On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio
and ABC Listen.
Another forgettable half of footy for the Brisbane Broncos. It's Melbourne 14, Brisbane 0 in the grand final rematch here at Amy Park in Melbourne. You're with Brett Sprague alongside Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen. The second half is not too far away. I mentioned the around the grounds AFL. There's no AFL here in Melbourne tonight, so it's a sellout crowd here, which is all the better for us. The atmosphere is tremendous. Weird first half of footy, but the Melbourne Storm did impose themselves on all the right moments to lead 14-0 in the AFL game. The Western Bulldogs 47, lead the Adelaide Crows 32, half-time there at Adelaide Oval. 0467 920 222. Ray is enjoying the call from Surin, Thailand. Thank you, Ray, for your text. Adam the Truckie says, listening in the truck on the way back to Sydney, Melbourne have put on a big score here from Adam. Yeah, it does have the makings of it, doesn't it, Hoffy? It feels like Melbourne have also had a very imperfect first 40, and they'll be keen to sort of to find even more points in that second half.
Yeah, well, the key is that the Broncos are crumbling under a bit of pressure, but they can't create pressure of their own. So that's just a recipe for the Melbourne Storm just to take them apart their second half. Look, the Broncos still have it in them. Look, they had that great 40-20 by Reece Walsh, which gave them a great chance, but they could not complete that set. I can't remember any attacking kick the Broncos have put on.
Griffo from Thirroul says, go the Storm, go the Tigers, go ABC Radio. Lee in Brisbane, I'll read this. Enjoying the call tonight, thank you. In reference to the names of football grounds, the late David Morrow outlined it perfectly when he said that if a ground was already named regardless of onward commercial interest, that name would be used by the ABC, such as Lane Park, for example, and not the current commercial name. Amy Park was the original name of the Melbourne ground, and that is the name it will always be called. Brisbane Broncos are not completing their sets due to a lack of confidence, and that's all it is. Thank you, Lee, for your assessment and your explanation there, which I do like to sort of share out there.
Very succinct, wasn't it?
Love it, lads. Glory says, Jen, Jim and Rusty, the Maxwell Kirkby family. Love to hear from you. Speaking of ABC royalty and great commentators. Kim in Penrith, good evening, team. A brilliant win by the mighty Panthers over the Roosters tonight. How Tedesco was not sit in to put on report for that tackle on Edwards beggars belief. Well, that was a great battle of the fullbacks, but Edwards had his number, I think, well and truly, as that game suggests. And I mentioned that Luke Lewis gave his 2 points to Dylan Edwards in the ABC Player of the Year after Penrith's earlier 40 points to 4 victory over the Roosters. Where do you put the Roosters, Hoffy, in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned about the Roosters, to be quite honest. I think Trent Robertson's got some tough decisions coming up, and I know it's only early, and I don't start really looking at teams till at least round 5. But I don't know. I think that they'll be at the bottom half of the 8, or maybe even missing the 8.
And we'll come back to our winners and losers of the previous games, and we'll look ahead to the rest of round 3 in our post-game wrap-up in about 40 odd minutes' time. Fellas, I thought Joe Chen was just a workhorse with not much imagination to his game, and I shuddered when he was named in the centres as Wayne from Mildura. I've been surprised by his ball playing and starch in defence.
Yeah, look, he's been a very good player. He just hasn't had opportunity, to be quite honest. And for him to play at the Melbourne Storm, he's had to fill in up other positions to come off the bench.
Broncos are out there. The Storm join them here at Amy Park in Melbourne. It's been the Storm so far. 14 points to 0. Stay with us here across NRL Friday on ABC Sport. As I said, we'll preview the Saturday games in round 3 very shortly as well. Nick Meaney's still out there. We saw Payne Haas come off for a moment in that first half. Remind me what Payne Haas's issue was, I think, from what we could see.
I just think Michael Maguire wanted to give him a bit of a blow and then get him back out there just before half-time. There was only an 8-minute stint on the sideline for Payne.
They mentioned Grant Anderson, who's obviously making his first appearance to the Broncos. There's an idea that maybe he shouldn't get too comfortable because the Warriors want him and the Mitch Barnett swap. So his name's come up a couple of times being a player the Warriors might target to get Mitch Barnett.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one, and I think that come about because he hasn't been getting much of a chance at the Bronx.
Kick off here, second half. Melbourne 14, Broncos 0, and Karapani feeds the footy off here to Talty, who makes the first hit up of this second half. 13 out from his own line, southern end. The Broncos on the attack here. Pakes dummy half across to the right-hand side, Piakura. Just those two players used off the bench here for the Broncos, Talty and Piakura, and the two used in that second and the first half for the Storm with Trent Liero and Cooper Clark. And now early penalty goes the way of the Brisbane Broncos. So Ben Hunt will find touch on the eastern side. A good start in this second half is non-negotiable for Madge's man, Hoffy.
Well, they've got an opportunity in the Storm. They just need to complete a set down here. They haven't. I can't remember the last time they completed a set in the Melbourne Storm end.
Now, do I dare give you the penalty count, which I should have written last time. Come back to it in a second here as the Broncos whip the footy across that 30-metre line to the right-hand side. Walsh run down from behind by Munster. A set restart here for the Broncos. So it comes open side left. Jordan Ricky, who angles his run now toward the posts. Tackled there by McDonald. Will play it now to Pakes. Open side left again for Carrigan. And on to Hunt, now Piakura, headlong into Hughes, and also down there Jack Howarth, 11 out left-hand side of the post, and it'll be penalty Brisbane again, as it was swatted out there by one of those Storm defenders. Jerome Hughes just threw his hands at that ball as Pakes was passing it, so penalty here in the ruck for the Brisbane Broncos, and it will be now penalty count 5 for the Broncos. They waste no time. 12 out centre field, I'm pretty sure anyway. Payne Haas, right-hand side of the uprights. He stands in the tackle of Cooper Clark. Play 2 here. Pakes across the right-hand side. Walsh on to Jordan Ricky, who hits and spins and does score. The first try of the second half, and didn't the Brisbane Broncos need that? Jordan Ricky is over for his first try of the new season. It's 14-4 Broncos, kick to come in the first 2.5 minutes of this second half on ABC Sport. Ryan Hoffman.
Yeah, well, the Brisbane Broncos came out of the sheds at half-time. We're still waiting for the Melbourne Storm to make an appearance. That's exactly what Mark Maguire needed. It was an enthusiastic start. They ran hard, got a couple of penalties, and finally completed the set. Good, strong running by Jordan Ricky. I tell you what, there's something special about that northern end of the ground. That's where all the tries have been scored.
Back to the touchline, Ian Cohen.
Well, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out what the word out of the sheds was from Michael Maguire. It was about completion. He was happy with effort, but they need to take their chances. And from Storm, obviously, their early completion was a bit of a problem. They then steadied in, and Nick Meaney has been cleared of any structural or organ damage, and obviously they're now just continuing to work on him.
That's reassuring. Thank you, Koza. So, Maurice Walsh places the ball on the tee here, 25 metres out, and 13 metres in from the eastern side. That was a non-negotiable, as I said, Hoffy. The Broncos have scored the first try and stay in this game, not be put away by the Melbourne Storm, as we've seen them do to teams at this ground especially. Broncos haven't won here in their last 9 appearances. Reece Walsh, left foot goal kicking attempt here, and it's up and over. Melbourne 14, Brisbane 6, 3.5 gone, second half. This is NRL Friday on ABC Sport. Your text welcome 0467 920 222. Kylie from Daysdale says, hi Brett, how long has the bunker been used for NRL games? I reckon it's 2016, around about there. It was before COVID. It didn't come in during COVID. It's been around for a few years before that. I'd say it's about 10 years. The bunker?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Should the refs wear like a special 10-year commemorative jersey? It's just... Would it be with a big TV on it or something?
Racking my brain trying to remember if I played on the bunker.
So I reckon it's 2016. Anyway, kick off here for Longo down to Karapani, back to Ben Talty, and again he runs into the defensive line there, where firstly Liero is in there with Josh King. He'll play it, pointing out from his own line. Now Piakura gets busy through centre field, taken down low by Cooper Clark. Up top, Josh King. Played the Pakes here, quickly moves it on. Back to Dean Mariner. And Liero drives him back, 35 out, 20 in western side. Play 4 for Broncos. Here's the cowbell in the background here at Storm Games. 7 metres short of the halfway. Carrigan tackled by McDonald, played to Pakes as Payne Haas runs it with their first receiver and brought down on halfway here for the Brisbane Broncos. Last play, Pakes across the right-hand side. Ben Hunt puts his kick up in the air. Launching off the wing, Nick Meaney brings it down there into the path of the try scorer, Jordan Ricky, and the Stags out there as well. 20 out, 15 from the eastern side. Munster at dummy half, spots up the man out there on the centre field in Moses Leo, and now he'll be tackled 30 out from his own line. Suafo Longo scored the first try of the game. He was a little too speedy there for Ben Hunt, but Hunt gets him on the follow-up, and Stags there as well. Grant dummy half across to Cooper Clark as Payne Haas tackles him, and also Jordan Ricky. 5 short of the halfway. Second last play, Storm. Liero runs with speed and power towards Ricky and Carrigan. He's inside Broncos territory now. Last play, Melbourne, says referee Todd Smith. Grant to find Munster. Kick goes up straight away. Walsh waits for it here. He was tackled by Hughes on the way down. Ref said it was okay. Brisbane's new set will start. 17 out from their own line, 20 in from the eastern side. 14-6 is Melbourne's lead here at Amy Park. 5.5 gone second half.
Yeah, the Brisbane Broncos are doing everything they had to do. They had a 14-point deficit to come back from, so they needed to come out with a bit of enthusiasm, a bit of fire and running hard, and competing on their kicks, which is what they want. A very pleasing start for Malcolm Maguire's
left edge they go here, the Brisbane Broncos through Dean Mariner. I mentioned and scored the first try in the grand final last year. He'll have a try here tonight. Karapani on the wing. Debut midway through the season and a couple of years ago now. Last play Brisbane as Pakes across to Carrigan. Now Hunt, Ricky at the back behind Staggs. Had work to do. He's grabbed by Munster. High spiralling ball from Staggs. Is caught by Farlongo. Storm back on the attack. 30 out from his own line. And Mam brings him down in concert with Piakura. 32 out, 20 in from the western side. 7 minutes go on second half here. NRL Friday Night Sports 6 again here for the Melbourne Storm. So the set restarts. We'll give you that at half time. We've now seen the 7-5. The set restarts going Melbourne's way. So Munster, who's just ragdolled, I beg your pardon, it's Howard who's getting up there, was ragdolled there by Ezra Mam, comes away through centre field. Now Liero tackled 40 out from Brisbane's line. Grant dummy half, now across to Munster, and now King, where Ricky and also Talty get him. Pakes and Mark was all over it early. 30 out from that southern line. Play to Grant. Dashes away here from dummy half. Now Hughes got away to Joe Chan. He left Mam in his wake. Got a kick from Chan. Was he obstructed on the way through? Todd Smith says, we'll go out. Watch the ball go out on the dead ball line. Just a question of whether Ben Hunt, I think it was, got in the way of Joe Chan as he was chasing his own kick.
It was an outstanding run by Joe Chan. He hit the hole very, very hard. An interesting decision to roll the ball in.
So 14-6 remains the scoreline for now. Here's the bunker, Chris Butler.
Decision.
Ooh.
I checked it. Wait,
Check it, no worries. So restart from 20 here for the Brisbane Broncos. And 7 tackles set, which we still have, of course, after a kick that does a dead ball line. They don't have it for a knock on the in-goal area. 25 out from that southern line. Comes back here again to Josiah Karapani. And he's missed by the defence. 35 out, 20 in from the western side. Pakes across open side right. Carrigan, Hunt, and now the try scorer, Ricky. Munster comes in up top, and Cooper Clark got him down low. 9 short of the halfway. Brisbane here on play 3. As again it's fed towards that halfway line. Tackled and playing it now is Talty to Pakes. Back to Ezra Mam. Inside ball back to Payne Haas. Only gains about 5 or 6 metres here, the big fella. Plays it now to Corey Pakes. Short side left they come. Reece Walsh skips here with a pass off to Piakura. And he shrugs over the ball. He's taken down by Hughes and also Chan. Last play Broncos 30 out. Short side left they come. Walsh pushed off the kick by Chan. Up it goes. Farlongo competes in the air. It's come off hands. Loose ball in the in-goal area. Dived on in there first by Warbrick. Todd Smith saying it will be a line dropout Melbourne. And they keep a 14-6 lead here. 8.5 gone second half. NRL Friday on ABC Sport as we'll have a captain's challenge.
Captain's challenge from Melbourne. On-field ruling is Brisbane knocked the ball backwards and then grounded in goal by Melbourne.
It happened right down that far corner. So now we'll see a replay. They're claiming that Mariner...
If that came off Mariner, that went forward by a lot.
Forward and upwards as well.
So I'll have a look here at the captain's challenge with Chris Butler in the bunker.
Both players jump at the same time to compete. Hits the right arm of Dean Mariner to see this perspective. See if there's any interference in the sewer.
Now when it comes forward here,
it's definitely not forward.
Definitely comes off Mariner.
Dean originally has 2 hands up and hits back with 1 hand, contacting the ball. We're still looking at the best angle from perspective.
Nothing much good.
It hits Warbrick. If Warbrick's in front of Mariner, it's gone forward.
Wilson's running it there. Based on the live decision of the ball being hit backwards, we're supporting that decision.
Yeah, it's only sort of blurry between frame footage here and the bunker.
Melbourne will retain their right to challenge.
Yeah, one of those ones too close to call.
Yeah, so there you go. So they'll retain the challenge, albeit it will be a line drop out here for the Storm, as originally called by Todd Smith.
But it was good to see an attacking kick from Brisbane and Brisbane competing for it. Good things come when you compete on kicks.
So, looks like there'll be a short drop out here taken by Farlongo. Doesn't. Oh, does it just go over the 10-metre line? Yes. Did it bounce over? I think it bounced over the 10-metre line before it went out for touch. So,
yeah, Melbourne ball.
Melbourne scrum. 10 out from their own line. Let's get the touch line. Ian Cohen.
Yeah, you can't buy a bounce like that, can you? But Sua's certainly doing everything at the moment. Just keep an eye on Ezra Mam. He got up with a really sore shoulder after Joe Chan just ran right over the top of him in that last run.
It's one of those funny bounces that you let it be. You don't know where it's going to go, the football.
Melbourne scrum, 10 out from their own line in front of the Billy Slater stand. And now Will Warbrick brings it away. And he's taken by Ezra Mann. Doing the defensive work here. Grant dummy half, open side left. Back here to Jack Howarth. Also in the Queensland squad last year. He also debuted against the Broncos 2.5 years ago, along with Sua Farlongo. So some recent history there for him. Also featured, of course, in the grand final, as Farlongo didn't. And now big hits in the field. Liero dispossessed. Ball bounces back here to Jerome Hughes. The gap opens up here for the Melbourne Storm. Liero still slow getting up as Hughes brings it to within 5 short of halfway. Play 4 here for the Storm. 14 points to 6 their lead. 10 go on second half here. NRL Friday on ABC Sport. So Howarth played on the halfway here. Grant fires it across to Munster. On the last, his kick up in the air for Reece Walsh. Gets up now. Tackled by McDonald. And trying to find Liero, who's out there in that defensive line somewhere. Here for the Melbourne Stormers, Karapani. He's tackled now by Liero and Clark. 28 out from that southern line. Play to man. Tackle 3 here for the Broncos, who trail 14-6 at the hands of the Storm. Trying across from Hunt to Coney Staggs, and Staggs has brought down 30 out. 6 more, though, for the Brisbane Broncos. So they get the set restart for what will be we'll get the set restarts in a second. Here they come towards halfway, and 5 short of the halfway as it comes here to Payne Haas. On play 3, Mam to Walsh. Karapani catches. In fact, it's Mariner who steps to the inside there. He was too quick for Harry Grant, but he's stopped by Hughes and also Liero. 30 out, 20 in. This is play 4 now for the Broncos. Haas offloads back to Mam, and he gains 6 or 7 more here. 20 out, 20 in, western side. 2 tackles left this set for the Broncos, who trail 14-6. Well, they go to Carrigan. Now Hunt dummies the pass here. Walsh tips it wide to Esco here, Anderson, but he's swarmed on there by Cooper Clark. And also Munster, 13 out, right-hand side of the post. Hunt goes the short side here. Staggs to Ricky for number 2, and he crashes down the corner. And Jordan Ricky has scored back-to-back tries. Oh, the Broncos are far from done yet, Hoffy. It's 14-10, kick to come Brisbane. 12 gone second half.
Yeah, they've done a great job, the Brisbane Broncos. They got themselves back into this game by pure hard work, running hard and tackling hard. Look, Sua Farlongo's doing a lot of great stuff for the Melbourne Storm, but he made a massive error there. Got the defensive numbers completely wrong. Left the Brisbane Broncos with an easy 2-on-1 on the short side. He should have sent another player across.
Touchline, Ian Cohen.
Yeah, well, as we said in the first half, the Broncos certainly, completion was their only enemy. They were putting themselves in the right position. They were managing to get through, and now they're actually reaping some of those rewards. So Ricky's been sensational on that side there, and 2 from 2 from him.
So Jordan Ricky in the 41st and 51st minutes tonight for the Brisbane Broncos. Just to come to the set restart. So I lost that for a second, but the set restarts have been a total of now 7-6 in this game, going the Storm's way. Top of 5-4, the penalty count Brisbane's way. 14-10 the score, and the most important thing, we'll see a sideline conversion for Reece Walsh, who's 1 from 1, converting Jordan Ricky's earlier try. 26 metres out here and a metre in from the eastern touchline in front of the Cameron Smith stand to make it a 14-12 scoreline.
Yeah, there's some pretty earnest discussions going on behind the post there, led by Harry Grant. Like, the Melbourne Storm literally have not come out after half time.
Well, they have, literally. They're out there.
Well, yeah, literally and figuratively. I'm getting mixed
We'll
up
get text otherwise.
I know. Sorry, folks.
14-10. This to be 14-12. A tough kick here for Reece Walsh. Right side for a left footer, though. The Clive Churchill medalist, in he comes, hits it pretty sweetly, up go the flags, 2-point ball game in the grand final rematch. Storm 14, Broncos 12, 13 gone, 27 left in this second half. NRL Friday here on ABC Sport. This second half of this game has come to life. 0467 920 222. Kylie, yes, I checked your thing. So round 1, 2016 was actually the first bunker game. That was Parrabee the Broncos. They have a piece of bunker history as well, for what it's worth. Around the grounds in the AFL third quarter, Bulldogs 61, Adelaide 44. A-League men's second half, Adelaide 4, Western Sydney Wanderers 2. A-League women full-time, Wellington 3, Sydney FC 1. From the kickoff, Brisbane get the use of the footy here again through Jensen, who's back in the action. As mentioned, they're going to put him on an NRL game, so a milestone game to come for him next week. Corey Jensen back to Piakura. One of those players, one of the 14 players who wore that Broncos jersey in the grand final last year. The defending premiers, and now Paddy Carrigan, the captain tonight, tireless through centre field. Taken 30 out. Play it now for Pakes. Comes across here again to Corey Jensen. All of a sudden their tails are up, the Broncos, aren't they? 14-12, they trail the Storm by just those 2 points. On this second last, they run it with Mam to the left edge now. Piakura broke the tackle of Howarth, but Howarth hangs on for dear life. Some assistance there in attack from Karapani. 40 out from Melbourne's line. Last play, Brisbane. 14 gone second half. First receiver is Ben Hunt. Off a step. His kick down towards Fa'alongo. Walsh is chasing, and he puts his arms around Fa'alongo as he comes. He was just down on the ground in time for Reece Walsh's sake, Fa'alongo. And now Reece Walsh clutching his right hammy. We'll keep an eye on that one. Storm back on the attack here through Jerome Hughes. 12 out. Back 20 out from that northern line. Comes to Warbrick. Tries to find a little gap there on Jensen and Carrigan. Haas closes that pretty quickly in defence. Play 3 Melbourne, 14-12 their lead. And there involved is the Tyron Wishart, so he's being used off the bench as well. The third bench player used for the Storm. Back here again to Fa'alongo. Bounced off the man tackle, and it is taken there by Mariner. Metre short of halfway. Played to Harry Grant. Short side right, the kick from Hughes on the last. Up it goes for Walsh, who trots out and runs up and brought down by Wishart. He'll play it there, Reece Walsh, 22 out from his own line. It's 14-12. I watch as Walsh plays it here, and he just reaches for his right hammy again and signals for a trainer. As Brisbane get the play moving to the right-hand side of the paddock. Mam sets up from dummy half on play 3. It's Melbourne 14, Brisbane 12. 15 gone, 25 left, second half on ABC Sport. Played by Anderson. Off here to Pakes, and now again through to 20 Stags. Munster gets him on halfway, 20 in from the eastern side. Carrigan first receiver. They shift to the left-hand side here. Mam is up and running and comes back on the inside. Hughes got in and Chan makes sure of it. But it'll be penalty here, Brisbane. Too high, said referee Todd Smith from Chan. He sort of went with almost like a defensive fend on the ball carrier. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess by nature it's probably high if it's up around the shoulders or face, but either way.
Jerome Hughes pushed him, and Joe Chen coming across him. He basically fell into Joey Chen's hand.
So it'll be penalty count 6 for Broncos. Touchline we go, Ian Cohen.
Yeah, I think Reece Walsh is okay. It looked like a cramp in that left hamstring, and it was a bit ordinary there, not from Mam, but obviously an ordinary circumstance.
Jensen is backing his way to the defensive line here. He'll play it 20 out centre field. Pakes across to Carrigan, back to Mam, and Howard gets him, brings him down. In the Queensland squad last year, of course. Played to Pakes, open side right. Payne Haas comes back in here to Toikamano. Play it 9 away, left-hand side of the post. Pakes to Carrigan, low ball here. Now Hunt throws a cut-out ball here to Anderson, steps in field. Clark gets him, so too Moses Leo. Strong defence from the Storm. Second last play, Broncos who trail by 2 points, 14-12 the scoreline. Hunt back on the inside now for Jensen, and 3 defenders stop him. 10 out. This is last play, Broncos. Pakes fires it across to to Walsh with the kick to the in goal here. It was nicely done from Grant, who had Staggs bearing down on him, and Grant's best option was to just knock that ball over the dead ball line. Will be line drop out Melbourne. They lead 14-12. The scoreline was 14-0 at the half. There is still 22 minutes and 50 seconds left. Ryan Hoffman on ABC Sport.
Well, there's no secret to why the Broncos have got themselves back in this game. They are 12 from 12 in this second half. And the Melbourne Storm, they're not bad. They're completing 100, but they've only had 5 sets, more than double the Melbourne Storm football.
Another short drop out here from Fa'alongo, and this goes out on the full. So it was kind of, wasn't as neat as the first one from Fa'alongo. So Brisbane ball, 10 out for Melbourne's line, northern end. Ricky scored 2 tries. He'll play it here to Grant Anderson. Comes to Walsh. 14-12. It's been all the Broncos in this second half. As Carrigan now tackled, 11 out from Melbourne's line. Played to Pakes. On here to Jensen. Takes on Wishart. Brought to the turf here with Wishart and also Grant. Jensen here. Pakes a dummy half across to Mam, and now Hunt off to Staggs, who can sprint in behind the goals. Dives and scores the try. 3 on the mount for the Broncos, who take the lead. It looks so unlikely with that 14-0 halftime scoreline. They were hopeless in the first 40 matches, men, but they lead 16-14. Kick to come Bronx midway through this second half, Ryan Hoffman.
It's amazing what belief does, and I tell you what, Malcolm Maguire must have given one hell of a speech at half-time. Is Bellamy losing his touch with his half-time speeches? Look, the Brisbane Broncos, they've been great this second half. They're completing, they're running hard, tackling hard. It's a simple game, rugby league, and they are doing that better, longer than what the Melbourne Storm are doing. The Melbourne Storm need to get themselves back into this game, and I wonder how long it's going to be until Craig Bellamy throws Josh King back out there just to starch up their defence a bit more.
So Ricky in the 41st, 51st, and now Staggs in the 58th minute. Touch on we go, Ian Cohen.
Well, the Broncos haven't won 3 in a row against Storm since 03-04, so it's a long time ago, and obviously they've got the wood over Storm at the moment with a couple in a row, including the grand final. But this is amazing pressure and opportunity from the Brisbane Broncos. You could feel that it was different right from the very first start of this second half, and Storm had just yet to land a punch, yet to counter punch.
Griffo from Thurrool says, can you give us a visual call of the Bellamy dummy spit after those tries? Yeah, he wouldn't be happy, would he? They controlled the game at 14-0 after an unusual first half. They were far from perfect. The Broncos were hopeless, but this has been a glittering second half from the visitors. Looking to win for the first time in Melbourne for 10 years. Here is Reece Walsh. Slight angle right of centre. 13 metres out here to make it an 18-14 scoreline. Brisbane's way. He does just that. 3 from 3 for the Clive Churchill medalist. 18 points straight here for the Brisbane Broncos after half-time. Teresa says, Hoffy, please tell Craig to tell the players no short line dropouts. They're hopeless at it. Well, Fongo's first one was pretty good, 1 from 2. And also, the success rate's bigger than you think across the competition for short dropouts, but fans seem to hate it.
I think short dropouts are the least of their worries at the moment because like they look a bit uninspired, the Melbourne Storm. It's going to take some big efforts from their leaders.
Premiership winner, Origin player, international Ryan Hoffman alongside me, Brett Sprigg. This is NRL Friday on ABC Sport. Earlier, Penrith 40 beat the Sydney Roosters 4 at the Footy Stadium. Karapani back to Jensen. The Broncos can do no wrong in this second half. How does the Melbourne Storm respond? 13 out from their own line here. The Broncos go on the attack again. Piakura. I don't know if we'll see Blake Moser out there. We did sort of talk up his inclusion because of the fact that no Adam Reynolds, Ben Hunt, a halfback, Moser, one of those inclusions on the bench. He was the young man who was highly touted. Didn't play a game last year due to a shoulder injury, but the young hooker, we'll see if he gets involved later on at a very decisive point of the game. It comes to Reece Walsh, kicks him inside 42nd last play on the full. So, no one will get the ball back here inside Brisbane's half to respond to those 3 straight tries. Play the ball here for the Storm. 35 out from that southern line. It's the Broncos 18, the Storm 14. 19 and a half left in the second half. Tyron Wishart, who's Bears bound alongside Nick Meaney next year. And comes here across to Joe Chan. One of their first half try scores for the Storm. 30 out, 20 in Western side. Played to Harry Grant. Pass cuts out Wishart to Hughes, and now Munster back on the inside now for Suafa-Longo. Carrigan grabs his jersey and stops here. Longo 30 outs in the field. Play out now to Harry Grant. Back to Tyron Wishart. He darts one way and now the other. And tackled 21 out from that southern goal line now here at Amy Park. Valero back to Hughes. To the corner they go now with Howarth. 1v1 here on Mariner. Good tackle from Mariner. Howarth still has the ball though. Played here second last. Warbrick from dummy half across to Hughes. In front of the uprights now for Grant. They peel to the left-hand side now is for Longo. Back now. It was forward. It was forward. That ball from Moses Leo to Nick Meaney. So it's called back. And it remains the Broncos 18, the Storm 14. 18-20 left in the second half. Touchline we go. Ian Cohen.
Yeah, well, that was right in front of the Broncos fans, and they were up and off their plastic. 28,245 in the house. Talked about it being a sellout. That's a great crowd.
Amazing crowd, as I said. A big time event in Melbourne tonight. There's no AFL on next door or anywhere. By the way, in Adelaide, the Bulldogs 67 leads the Crows 53. The third quarter of that AFL game, Friday night footy. This is NRL Friday. You're listening to it on ABC Sport. Across ABC Local Radio, News Radio, and ABC Listen. And even ABC Sport Rapid for our much less delayed live commentary. Pakes across here to Piakura. Now Pakes again on this next play. Off to the burst of Dean Mariner. 35 out from his own line. Pakes will go across to Carrigan, who's been tireless in this game. Tonight's captain, 7 short of the halfway. Pakes sets up at dummy half. Goes here to the right-hand side for Corey Jensen. Gains a quick dozen now as well. Last play Broncos as Pakes directs it up to the right-hand side again. The short side for Hunt. He kicks for distance down that far wing. And it's taken now by Longo, who's ditched the headgear. And he runs back into Mam and also out there Payne Haas. 20 outs in a field. Storm back on the attack. Hoffey, they trail 18-14. The Broncos have scored 18 unanswered points.
Yeah, the Broncos have been brilliant this half. There's 16 minutes to go, and they need to play every single bit of that 16 minutes with the same intent that they started this half with, because the Melbourne Storm won't stop. They have won so many games right at the death at this venue just because they are an 80-minute football team.
Tuikamano's back in the action here, and he gains a 10-metre run here towards halfway. Dummy half ran off the run of Wishart, and he's spun to ground there by Pakes and also Haas. 40 out from Brisbane's line. Last play in Melbourne. It comes to Hughes, and his kick goes up in the air. Out after it first, Warbrick, clean catch, tackled by Karapani, changeover, 23 out from that southern line. Opportunity here for the Broncos to go back on the attack. As Dubbo Dragon points out, the Storm weren't exactly impressive against the Dragons until that last sort of 17 minutes, as I think Lewis mentioned earlier as well. So individuality won that match, says Dubbo Dragon. So the Broncos are in this up to their necks. Yeah, you can never write off the Storm, but the defending champs lead this game 18-14, looking for their first win of season 2026 and their title defence. Willison back in the action, dragged down from behind by Joe Chan. 40 out the Broncos from their own line. Takes across to Carrigan. It's already play 4. Haas, met solidly there by Tuikamano and also Hughes and Wishart. Will be, second last here. Pakes across to Walsh, who explodes away. The pass to Mariner. Big hit from Warbrick. Had the arms straight around him. Play at 35 out here. Last play Broncos. Pakes to Hunt. Up goes a hurried kick. Mam under it now. 6 out the boot. Bounce into the path for Falongo. Danger here for the Broncos. Falongo has plenty of speed. But Ricky, the two-time try scorer, stops him 30 out, 20 in from the eastern side. 14:50 left at Amy Park. Or it's the Broncos 18, the Storm 14.
Yeah, they've got to avoid those type of kicks, the Broncos, because you don't want to be giving Falongo the ball in broken play with not a straight defensive line. They're better off trying to roll it into the in-goal and getting a straight line rather than sticking out those bombs where you don't know where they might end up.
Grant has it here on halfway to Hughes. No look pass back into the edge for Jack Howarth. Mariner gets him. 40 out from the Broncos line. Storm on the second last play, and now Hughes lost his footing. 30 out, 20 in. Hand in the air from referee Todd Smith as Grant plays it back here again to the right-hand side. Wishart
and the scores.
Puts up the kick. Walsh launches. Brings it down. Keeping out from his own line. Broncos back on the attack. 18-14 is their lead. Let's head back to the touchline. Ian Cohen.
Yeah, Reece Walsh obviously really courageous there, was well and truly in the air, then obviously complained about the treatment when he was on the ground, but the Broncos have got it all to play for now.
13:50 left in the game here. Haas back to Ben Hunt. Big role for him times, of course, you'd expect that from a 50-game player. The experience he brings his second year back at the Broncos. Haas offloads the man who leaves the ball behind. Knock on Brisbane. So, Storm possession, 30 out southern end. A chance for them to go on the attack and potentially level things back up here. They trail 18-14 with 3.5 left.
Yeah, Payne Haas, it was a great run. And look, it should have been caught by Ezra Mann, but time and place is inside your own 30, the place to be offloading. I reckon he'd like that one back, Payne Haas. But look, I'm not taking anything away from Ezra Mann, but he should have taken that football. Is this the opportunity, Spriggy? Is this the opportunity for the Storm? They've been given a couple. This second half, is this the one?
Falongo is ditching the white headgear, as I mentioned, so he's sitting up right-hand side of the scrum. It comes left-hand side, though, for Munster, and now in some space, Leo. Desperate chase, a tackle, though, from Staggs. Play at 17 out here, the Storm, attacking Brisbane's line. Munster off to Cooper Clark, taken by Carrigan, Haas et al. 13 out, 20 in from that far side of the ground. Play 3 here for the Storm, who trail by those 4 points. Grant dummy half to Munster. On to Hughes. They shift to the right-hand side now. Longo, big pace. Mariner got him. Karapani as well. He's 3.5 shy. Longo will play it now for Warbrick. Midway through the tackle count now for the Storm. Hughes picks it up here, shares it with Grant. Now Kamikamitha's back in the action. 8 metres away from the upright southern end. Played here to Grant, across to Hughes, now Munster, cut out here towards Leo, and now Meany, but the defence comes late on him, right in the corner as he driven over the touchline, he is. So the Broncos defence hangs on. Great work from a few of those guys out there. Reece Walsh, Anderson, Staggs on that right edge Broncos defence. Force Meany out over the touchline, and it remains Brisbane 18, Melbourne 14, 11:50 left in the game.
Well, they've scored 2 tries here in the Melbourne Storm, and that's hitting a direct line. The last couple of sets, they're just going sideline to sideline. They need to hit someone hitting a hard straight line like Joey Chan did that first half.
Broncos play it out from their own line. Willison, his first receiver. Kamikamitha drives him back. 11 out still. 20 in from the western side. Down to Ian Cohen very shortly as Hunt will share it with Karapani. Filling games, 11 tries last year for the Broncos winger. And now Dean Mariner. 2 tries in last year's GF, including the first one. 25 out centre field. Played here to Pakes. Off to Paddy Carrigan. Still a couple of names to be left on that Brisbane Broncos bench. We haven't seen Blake Moser yet. Payne Haas, 10:50 left in the game. And he gains a quick 7 or 8 metres here, Payne Haas. Come back to the left-hand side. Walsh will kick from inside 40. On the full taken, though, by Longo. Storm back on the attack. He's tackled 35 out from his own line. They'll start their next set from the other home side. They trail 18-14. After the Broncos have scored 3 straight tries after half-time through Jordan Ricky, and Tony Staggs. 8 short of the halfway. Warwick tackled. Storm here on play 3. Wishart gets involved. Wilson gets him. So too Pakes. He's only a few inside Broncos territory here as Grant waits at dummy half. On tackle 4. Off here again to Big Stefano Utoikamanu. And he is standing the tackle of Payne Haas, 35 out centre field. Off the deck goes Harry Grant to his right-hand side for Hughes. Inside ball for Longo, but Jensen and Mann get him. 25 out, last play, Melbourne. Hughes running kick on that last play. Walsh launches, but it's back here. Oh, it's for the feet there of Harry Grant. Todd Smith will say here, I fancy it's gone forward off Melbourne first anyway. What does he say?
Should be the contest. I had knocked on by Melbourne.
Yeah.
Hitting Harry Grant, accidentally offside.
So there we go. 9:45 left in the game. Hoffing it's still Broncos 18, Storm 14. Here is Chris Butler in the bunker.
Both players start with 2 hands competing.
it's definitely off at least one of those. Probably it'd be Howarth in the first. Yeah, he said it was Harry Grant, but Howarth knocks it into Reece Walsh.
Hits the right hand of Jack House first and goes forward, which is a knock-on. We have a decision. You'll play the ball 10 by 10.
There we go.
I tell you what, I'll give someone a rap here. Paddy Carrigan has played every single minute of this football game in the middle. He's been tremendous. Over 20 carries and over 38 tackles. He is having a leader's knock here. He's been tremendous.
18-14, the Broncos lead here after a 14-0 half-time deficit. 9:40 left in the game. Mr. Koza very shortly has played here. Takes a dummy half. Cross now here for the Broncos and Grant Anderson. Play at 15 out. It's an opportunity now for Katoni Staggs. Gets up there, Wishart playing marker. Takes across here again now for Jordan Ricky. Scored those 2 tries after half-time. Eventually come underneath the tackles in. 35 outs on the field here. 9:14 left in this second half on ABC Sport. With Brett Sprigg, Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen as they shift it right to left here, the Broncos. Through hands, Walsh finds Mariner. Shan gets in from the side. And Yatui Kamano as well. 45 out from that northern line. Last play, Brisbane. High spiralling kick comes off the boot of Ben Hunt. Down towards Suafalongo again here for the Melbourne Storm. The fullback can evade one tackle of Carrigan, but not so Payne Haas and Juricki. 20 outs in the field. 8:40 left now here at a 28,000 strong Amy Park. This sellout game, grand final rematch on the line, very much so. Warbrick tackled 35 out. Plays it now. Grant across now to Nick Meaney. 97th game was the Melbourne Storm player, Nick Meaney. Off to the Bears next few, as I mentioned. Now Munster swings it back here towards Hughes, and now Falongo to the right edge for Jack Howarth. Tackled 5 inside Broncos territory. Second last play for the Purple. Munster dummies the pass left. Fends off Jensen. Still going Munster. Still going. Haas and Ricky will get him. Off point back to Kamikamitha. Still alive here, the Storm. Big Tui is 10 metres out now. Last play Storm. Left-hand side of the post. Grant comes and finds Hughes in centre field. Puts up the cross-field bomb. High towards Warbrick. And Warbrick takes it. Batted away here by the Broncos defence. It goes out touching goal. And it was knocked forward here by Warbrick first. So it will be a Broncos restart from 20 with a full set. They lead 18-14. 7.5 left in the game. Ian Cohen touchline.
Reece Walsh has scored 28 points in the last 2 games against Melbourne Storm. Is there a final stanza with 7 minutes to go where the superstar fullback gets involved? I've seen him running into the line a couple of times.
So it's a game of 2 halves, Hoffy. It's an old footy cliche, but hasn't this been the story of the night so far? All Melbourne, then all Brisbane. 18 straight points for the Broncos. Can they hang on here? Still plenty of time left. Pake's dummy half here for the Broncos. On play 4 finds Carrigan, and he's inside Melbourne's half here. 20 in from the western side. Pake's waits at dummy half with a halfway line behind him. Haas off here to Hunt, and now Walsh off the right hand side here. Staggs. He left Moses Leo in his wake, but he's taken down by Meaney. 25 out, 5 in from the eastern side. Anderson dummy half. Walsh, last play kick. Up it goes. Who wants it more? Falongo launches, brings it down, and he'll play it 6 out from that northern line here. Storm go back on the attack.
They need something, Melbourne Storm. Cameron Munster did a great run before, but I think Jerome Hughes has looked dangerous, taking on the line a couple of times. I just think he needs to involve himself in and around the ruck.
6:25 left in the game here at Amy Park on ABC Sport. Storm here on play 3 already. Munster finds Wishart. Centre field run here from the utility, and he's playing there in front of Pakes and Haas. And now Munster back to Falongo. They go back to the left-hand side now for Alec McDonald, and Ricky makes the tackle there on him. Offside, and that was Ben Hunt. Storm swing it back to the right-hand side as Hughes finds Munster back on the inside. Over the 30 he goes. Munster kick for the corner. Warbrick comes bursting up the kick to skids out. Only a few metres shy of the corner post. Munster just couldn't nurse the kick to Warbrick. So Brisbane play the ball, 10 out from their own line. It's the Broncos who lead, 18-14, 5.5 left here tonight.
Oh, I said Jerome Hughes needed to put himself in the game. He did. Fed Cameron Munster. Cameron Munster puts a kick in. If this game's at 2 o'clock on a Sunday, Arvo, that's a try because that sets up. But the greasy Melbourne Knight just had the ball skid over into the touchline.
So, Anderson has it now for the Broncos. 15 out from that southern line. 5:15 left in the game. As a big hit on that far edge out there from Moses Leo on Tony Staggs. 25 out is Jordan Ricky. Play it now. Dummy half. It's come across into Mam. And now also out there for the Brisbane Broncos, tackled playing at Piakura. Pakes dummy half, off to Carrigan. And Carrigan is surrounded there by Melbourne defenders. Yutoi Kamano and also in there with Donald on the last play now for the Broncos as Hunt sends his kick high and long downfield. 4.5 left in this second half. It's come right across now to Grant Anderson. And still the Broncos defence gets him. Payne Haas tackles him. Play to Munster. Swings it across to the left-hand side. Moses Leo is clobbered there by Staggs, and he's slow getting up here, Moses Leo. Takes some of the pace out of the game. 4 minutes and 10 seconds left. It will be penalty Melbourne. So it was a late call there, and on report as well. So Todd Smith was unsure. I may have just got word from the bunker that Moses Leo does receive a penalty, which means the player on report is seeing, Staggs, who comes in very heavy on top of him.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. It's a bit of shoulder contact into the head of Moses Leo. Interesting, the Storm have only used 3 of their bench players.
Yeah.
They're still waiting to use a 4th. I reckon that Craig Bellamy is keeping just one up the sleeve, especially an outside back in case he needs it.
Just the 2 they've used the Broncos as well, Telty and Piakura. I haven't seen anyone else out there with Moza, Warbrick's Tafa, again, Matt Shibasaki. So I got that wrong, but I can't see, I haven't put any other names out there off that Broncos bench. So Storm fine touch on the eastern side, off the back of the penalty. So penalty count 6-all in the game. 3.5 left. It's Brisbane 18, Melbourne 14. Yutoi Kamano will have it here. And he's tackled now, 5 inside Broncos territory. Grant dummy half. Across now again to Cameron Munster. And back to Trent Liero. And now it will be time off blown by referee Todd Smith.
Yeah, Moses Leo's going to have to go for the HIA here. So this is why Craig left, one bloke left on the bench. It's Suolungi Tuamulatu Brown to come on.
Froggy says, boring match, too many stoppages. Yawn. Oh, Froggy. I know not every close game's a good game, but this has just been a very fascinating game as far as momentum shifts in it. 18 straight points for the Broncos since half-time. It was a different Brisbane outfit that came out of the sheds. A different Melbourne outfit as well. So in comes, as you said, Tuamulatu Brown for the Melbourne Storm. Their 4th bench player used while Leo gets checked out. 3 minutes and 10 seconds left here at Amy Park. Marshall pass in the field. Grant to the right-hand side for Jerome Hughes. And now back on the inside to Jack Howarth. And he's tackled by Piakura and also Corey Payne. 25 out. They come to the right side now with Gary Grant. Off to Chan. Stands in the tackle there as Man got him first, but then Pakes stops him 15 out. Last play, Storm, who trailed by 4 points. Hughes across left-hand side now for Munster. He dummies. He's too quick for Payne Haas. Still has the ball. Can't offload. Changeover in front of the posts. So Brisbane, 8 out from their own line, take possession back. 2.5 left. It's they who lead. 18-14, Ryan Hoffman.
It's desperation stakes for the Melbourne Storm now. The Brisbane Broncos need a real professional set to come out of their own end and get to a nice big kick.
So 2:20 left in the game. They can just about feel it, Brisbane. You can't write the Storm off yet. But can Brisbane see this game out and hang on to the footy? It's not quite the last set of the game. Still some time away. Willison pressing up through centre field, taken down there by Trent Liero. Play at 20 out now. Pakes across to the right-hand side. In fact, holds the footy himself and now draws the contact there of McDonald and also Harry Grant. Up to Jordan Ricky, up that right edge now. Backs his way to Toikamano. 35 out, 20 in from the eastern side. Minute 40 left in the game here as Payne Haas goes on a centre field run. 18-14 it remains here. This is last play, Brisbane 40 out from their own line. Walsh just punts it high and long down towards Farlongo. 90 seconds left in the game. Storm trail by 4 there on the attack. Mariner gets Farlongo. Wasn't high, says the ref. The crowd would have thought so. 28,000 strong crowd here tonight, most of them Storm fans. Warbrick goes the defender. It's desperate stuff now for the Storm. Minute 14 left, it's play 2. Make it 3 now as Grant waits at dummy half. Sends it open side left. Munster, inside ball now again for the Storm, and Joe Chan tackled 5 short of the halfway. Playing it now, in fact, to Malatu Brown. Off to Harry Grant. Goes over halfway, little darting run. Fred back by Liero to Wishart. 50 seconds left here for the Storm, play 4. They shoot around centre field as now it's taken by Mini, and he's brought down 45 out from Brisbane's line. Grant goes from dummy half. Off to Munster. Shares it with Toikamano. This is last play, Storm, with 36 seconds left here. Comes right-hand side. Hughes puts up the high kick. They'll all chase it through. Walsh will launch. Hunted back here by Joe Chan and Liero. It's 25 out. Palongo's there for the Storm. It's still the last out for the Storm. He burns past one defender. Shares the pass to Warbrick. Back to the fullback, Farlongo. It's desperate stuff. Oh, he went to kick. He was held by Karapani. He's lost the ball. Karapani forces the Farlongo error, and that will just about do it. 5 seconds left. This has been a mighty second half performance for Madge's men, the Broncos, the defending champs, who looked nowhere at halftime. They broke their duck in season 2026, get the first win of their premiership defence thanks to 18 straight points after halftime. 2 tries for Jordan Ricky, 1 to Stags. It really was Ryan Hoffman, a game of 2 halves.
Oh, it's the oldest cliche in the game of rugby league, but that's 100% right. The Brisbane Broncos didn't want to play the first half, but they played the second half. They were absolutely tremendous. They ran hard. They tackled hard. There was desperation. There was picking up Melbourne Storm runners and dragging them into touch. That's what Malcolm Maguire wants to see from his team, and it come through in the end with it. This is a really strong victory for the Brisbane Broncos.
Plenty of time to assess it here post-game on ABC Sport. Thank you, Hoffy. And stay with us here. You can text us 0467 920 222. What a performance. What a finish there from the Brisbane Broncos. Just the most awful looking first half you'd imagine, and they get their first win here, 18 points to 14, their first win in Melbourne since round 25 2016. Down to you, Koza.
Pat Carrigan's still breathing heavy, but now breathing a little lighter. The pressure was on and the Broncos turned up.
Yeah, it was, mate. It's the expectation. Great team down here in Melbourne. We've struggled down here as a club as a past, and we put ourselves under pressure early in that game, but just to see the fight, and it's just enjoyable to get our first win of the year.
Well, there was more than just pressure in the game, though. It's been pressure for the last week or so. How much of a release is this triumph here tonight?
To be honest, mate, the external pressure doesn't really get to us. I think it's more the standards that we put on ourselves inside the building, and we know we've been missing the mark with a lot of things. So, mate, to be honest, we weren't perfect tonight, but you got to find a way, and it's just really enjoyable to get a win down here.
What was the difference between the first and second half? Completion was certainly one part of it, but what was the belief, or how did you come out differently?
Mate, just get to our process. Probably push the hand a little bit earlier, something we're working on, but I think we completed our 55%, mate. So defensively, we were moving really well. Although we conceded 2 tries, I thought everything we're doing was really nice, but you give that opposition all the ball, then we're going to struggle. So, really nice just to get the result.
And obviously, the game from Ricky was outstanding, scoring the 2 tries.
He's obviously probably his own harshest critic and has been a bit disappointed the last couple of weeks, mate, but to see the big fella... know that he'd love to get one over a few old mates here. So I think he spent a lot of time here, a lot of close friends. Mate, I'm just stoked that we got the result for him in his first game of the club.
Congratulations on the win.
Cheers, thank you.
I still can't believe it. Paddy Carrigan, as you said, off, he was a good part of the reason why.
I was just looking at his stats. Damn it, I just lost it. But it was 23 carries for 195 metres and 43 hit-ups and 80 minutes.
Every minute of the game.
That's what you want from your leader of the club.
And you love hearing him talk about things like the process, the fact that he knew that they were not far off it, despite the fact that they had two pretty lacklustre weeks and another ordinary first half, but they knew that they could play some good footy, even despite being 14-0 down at half-time in Melbourne, a place they hadn't won for nearly 10 years. So it's just extraordinary. Belief's a powerful thing. Now Mike Maguire and the Broncos can,
it just shows that the football that they can play. They weren't themselves the first 2 weeks. To be honest, they didn't give them a chance. Themselves a chance the first 2 weeks, but they did give themselves a chance in the first half. But they certainly come out in the second half.
In the score camp with you, Koza.
Nick Meaney's been kind enough to join us. Nick, first question, obviously, how's the back? It was obviously pretty sore in that opening term.
Yeah, no, it was. I got a bit of a knee in the back, but that little ultrasound machine at half-time and everything's all right. I think just a bit of cartilage, a bit of bruising, but no, it pulled up all right.
Talk to us about the game. Storm pretty dominant in that first half, 14-0 going in at half-time. What changed in the second half?
Yeah, I think I was talking to Grant Anderson, and they completed at 50-something% in the first half, so they gave us a lot of ball and a lot of opportunity. In the second half, I think we got down here once, and then Joey saw something, put a kick through, and it didn't work out. But after that, I think we saw the good ball line for a while. So quality side of that, you just can't give them that much possession.
Storm had come in with a lot of scoring power behind them in the first two, but how did that not turn up tonight?
Yeah, I think just against a quality side like the Broncos, you give them that much ball, we run out a bit of gas. In the last two games we had all the ball, we had all the momentum, and we can do some pretty amazing things with it. But when we get in that arm wrestle, I think we just got to be better at completing and building pressure and keep doing that.
All right, Nick, appreciate your time.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Nick Meaney there with Ian Cohen in the disappointed Melbourne Storm camp. Yeah, and by the way, Jim in Sydney does point out that 4 points, same as the grand final last year. 4 points Brisbane, 26-22, 18-14 here tonight.
Well, there you go.
We'll get to more of your texts in a second. 0467 920 222 as Ian Cohen continues to get us some reaction from downstairs, and we'll hear from the man hopefully very shortly who is playing his first game for his new club against his old club, Grant Anderson. So we'll see if we can hear from him, who's just having a chat to the host TV broadcaster. So from 14-0 at half time, the Storm had those two tries to Sua Fa'alongo in the 21st minute and Joe Chan right on half-time, which was a real, you call them coach killers.
Yeah.
Two conversions, one penalty for Harry Grant, the unlikely goal kicker, had 3 from 3 for the night. 14-0, and then it was all Brisbane from there. Jordan Ricky in the 41st and the 51st, Tony Staggs in the 58th minute, and then Reece Walsh 3 from 3. He's having a chat to a few of his old mates. Hopefully he'll have a chat to his old mate Ian Cohen as well very shortly. Grant Anderson, but the 28,000 strong crowd has certainly thinned out. A sellout we had here for the grand final rematch, and that will certainly be a win, Hoffy, which will spark the Brisbane Broncos premiership defence. And we'll get some more reaction from downstairs with you, Koza.
Okay, a 4-point result at the grand final. It was 4 points against Melbourne Storm, and now obviously 4 points, but you've changed jumpers in between times.
Yeah, it's a good freshen up, I suppose. It's a hard trip to come down here and win at Melbourne. I've been on the other side, so I know what it's like, but to get the chockies in the end, it's very, very good.
Talk to us about the build-up for you. Obviously, you would have had a red ring around it in the diary to say this is one I want to win. How's the build-up been for you?
Yeah, no, it's been pretty good. I know my job in this team and on the wing there, so I just try to keep it really simple, and the boys take care of itself. So yeah.
The first half, it wasn't quite coming together for the Broncos. Completion rate wasn't there. What did Madge say at half-time, and what changed in the second half?
Yeah, pretty well what you just said. We didn't complete well. If we completed well, we'll give ourselves a chance, and we ended up doing that, so it was good.
And how good for you? I mean, I know you're all keeping a lid on it at the moment, but how sweet for you to to get one over the top of your former teammates?
Yeah, it's always good, but they're a strong club and they'll be hungrier. It'll be a good game next time we come up against them, and I've got nothing but respect for them.
All right, congratulations, well done.
Cheers.
Grant Anderson with Ian Cohen there. Thanks, Coach. I might get a final word from you before we say goodbye. I still can't quite believe what we've seen here across this second half. And by the way, just on those game stats, I'll get to the full match stats in a second. But in that second half for Hoffy, completions 20 of 22 for the Brisbane Broncos. They made 9 errors in the first half. Penalty count 3-1, line breaks 3-2, tries 3-0 for the Broncos in that second half. So that tells a story. Koza, your final word from downstairs?
Well, it's amazing when you think about it, because Storm don't normally lose here full stop, and they certainly put themselves in a position to be able to just grab one of those last-ditch attempts that we see so often. But the Broncos, they hung tough. It was a completely different Broncos outfit that came out in the second half. So Mike Maguire's going to be very happy about that. Obviously for them, and I spoke to Matt Carrigan about it, it is a pressure valve release, given the fact that 0-3 would have been a really inauspicious start. So full congratulations to the Broncos. They played some great football. Melbourne Storm, well, they've got some work to do. It's unusual for them to lose at home. They have got some work to do here, and we'll wait and see how they bounce back. But a really important win for the Broncos. I think Storm are going to be very, very disappointed with that one after their 2-0 start to the year.
Nice work from you, Koza. We'll hear from you again soon.
Thanks, Briggy. Thanks, Hoffy. Have a great night.
Ian Cohen, always great to have Koza join us on the touchline here at Amy Park. And I'm looking at this as well, Hoffy. I guess you can sort of say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They only used 2 players off the bench. That's extraordinary.
Six interchanges, I think.
So unless I've missed that on the player stats here, I didn't see any other Broncos player come on besides Ben Talty and Brendan Piakura. And sure enough, Tafa, Shibasaki, Hunt and Moser all unused.
Well, that just reinforces what a Herculean effort it was from Paddy Carrigan, and how much trust Madge does have in his players to carry them through.
So across the game, the Storm had 51% possession, 85% completion, 72% it was for the Brisbane Broncos across the game, but a much, much improved second half, as we've said a million times. Line breaks 5-3 for the Storm, but 3-2 in the second half, Brisbane's way. The error count was 11-10. So the Broncos made, I think, 8 or 9 of those in the first half. Penalty count was 6-5 Broncos. There were a total of 7 to 6 set restarts going Melbourne's way. 2 reports made, one for Reece Walsh for a high tackle in the first half. Tony Staggs with a shoulder in that second half as well. The 2 players on report. And yes, indeed, that's how it all finished up here. The Broncos now are 4 wins and 13 losses at Amy Park. Their first victory in Melbourne since 2016, which incidentally was the very first year of the bunker. Your text 0467 920 222. Brian is channeling Johnny Horton. In 1814, we took a little trip. 1814 the scoreline. That was the Battle of Is it Battle of New Orleans? That old song by Johnny Horton. The Battle of the Broncos and Storm, says Brian in Farnell.
How old are you?
It's a great song.
I've never heard it before.
Fired our guns and the British kept it coming.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sing more anyway.
I think I'm quite a few years older than you.
It's an old one. Jim says the same margin as last year's grand final. Yes, indeed. Griffo from Thirroul says congrats to Madge for a great comeback. The coach of the Tigers, Sharpton, is an excellent human. You're a big Madge guy. I mean, he's the reigning premiership coach. He's won a comp before. He's won 2 comps. He's a great coach, and yet there's still this. I think we can sort of take some of the criticism for Michael Maguire with a grain of salt. There are certain agendas which I think people understand where there's from certain individuals, especially in Queensland. But they are the defending champs. And there was the same chat last year. He rides them too hard. He's lost the players. He's lost the sheds. Mate, they win the comp.
Yeah, but to be a tough team, you've got to train tough. You've got to train hard. Without Michael Maguire's training regime and how he works his team to get the best out of them, they don't win those 3 finals games last year. They probably don't even win tonight. Because we've seen it from Broncos teams in the past where they give up a 14-point deficit and they can't pull it back. But because Mike Maguire trains his teams to be tough through tough training, which is you got to do, it sucks, but that's how you become tough, by training tough. That's how they pulled out a victory. That's how they didn't give up at halftime. They just realised that they needed to get back what they do best, and that was run hard and tackling hard. And the Melbourne Storm were like deer in the headlights.
Neil says, are you sure it's the same Storm that came back on the foot after half time? You ever had a few of those texts, Neil. They literally did come back on the field, as Hoffy said, but it just didn't seem like the same Melbourne Storm team. Bill from the Bush says, is there a Broncos B team that comes on in the second half? Cheers for another great call, and shout out to Dubbo Dragon. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on our boys this season, says Christy the Russell Island Dragon. Robert from Palmwoods, Queensland. Hi team at ABC Sport. Great calling excellence again tonight. Might be a winning drought over. Indeed it was for the Broncos with that little two-game drought and letting in 66 points in those first couple of weeks. Winners here, style in Melbourne, 18-14 the full-time score. One Texas says that stupid line dropout led to a Brisbane try, the short line dropout. Well, one was pretty effective and one wasn't, so, you know, it happens. There's a few more we had here as well. Jeff in Sunshine, late set, 6 agains and penalties to set up the Broncos tries in the first 20 minutes of the second half, but then Smith puts the whistle away for the last 20 minutes, no consistency. Thank you, Jeff.
That's an interesting one, because there were 1,006 agains in the first half and in the first half of the second half in penalties, and I can't remember one in the last 20 minutes.
Mikey from Bendigo says, I know Craig Bellamy knows a lot more about rugby league than I ever know, but why does he persist with his short dropouts?
I think everyone's competition does short dropouts.
I think we've discussed that. It's mostly kind of effective. I think the stats support the long dropouts as effective, if not more, than the standard long line dropouts. Anyway, 18-14 the full-time score here. Round the grounds quickly in the AFL. Fourth quarter in Adelaide, the Bulldogs 81 leads the Adelaide Crows 68. Full-time scores in the A-League men. Adelaide United 4, the Western Sydney Wanderers 2. A-League women, Brisbane Roar 4, Newcastle Jets 2, Wellington 3, Sydney FC 1. In the Super Rugby, the Brumbies came back to beat the Chiefs in Canberra 33-24. So if you've just rejoined us on ABC Radio throughout Canberra, then welcome back from that. Here we saw the Broncos 18, the Melbourne Storm 14, and earlier the Penrith Panthers 40 beat the Sydney Roosters 4. Before we get the wrap-up of that game from Andrew Moore, Luke Lewis and John Gibbs, Hoffy, who gets your 3 best in the ABC Player of the Year?
Oh, the 3 points, and the best player on the park by an absolute country mile was Paddy Carrigan. I read out his stats before. He was absolutely tremendous, and he was the reason why the Broncos got themselves back in this game. 2 points I'm giving to Saw far longer. He tried his backside off, this kid. He was everywhere, and he spoke a lot about from his pre-season how fit he is now, and he showed it, because he was every opportunity the Melbourne Storm were attacking, he's touching the ball at least 2 or 3 times. He's trying to inject himself into the game, and 1 point I'm going to give to Jordan Ricky. Quiet in the second half, but geez, he came out, quiet in the first half, he came out in the second half with a bang, scoring 2 tries and with some very starch in his defence on that right edge for the Brisbane Broncos.
Scoring his first 2 tries of the new campaign. Sulfalungo, 256 run metres, including 93 kick return metres from him and 60 post contact with a line break, and of course the first try of the game. So
how many carries was it?
From a total of
25 carries. Yeah. Well, that's huge from a fullback. That's up there with Tedesco and Dylan Edwards. That's the impact that they have on the game. So it shows you have a good pre-season, you set yourself up for a good off-season. Regular season. Yeah, so I'm on fire today.
3 for Carrigan. Think about this pre-season for the Broncos, though. So they lost the World Club Challenge. We thought, okay, well, that happens. The English sides, take it seriously. There's obviously that to travel over there and whatever else. The Broncos come back here. They have their pants pulled down by, Penrith and then Parramatta. And then they come out here and beat the Storm for the first time in 10 years in Melbourne. So that is a way to sort of assert yourself. Well, not just the Storm, who you'd think they would, if they're to be a contender again and defend their crown, the Broncos, they'll face the Storm at some stage again. Yeah. Let's face it. And it sends sort of a warning to the rest of the comp as well, that they can be a good team.
Yeah, but the Broncos showed that they can get themselves out of it. Yep, they were pretty ordinary the first 2 games. But there's been plenty of teams that come down to Melbourne and have a 14-point deficit and end up getting beat by 50. So that just showed great resilience.
Paul, who's trucking in North Queensland, says, lucky I'm not coach. You kick a short dropout, you miss next week. People are they hate the line dropouts, the short dropouts.
I don't think the short dropouts were a reason why the Melbourne Storm didn't win the football.
In case you missed it, Hoffy gave 3 to Paddy Carrigan, 2 to Silva Lungo, and 1 to Jordan Ricky in the ABC Player of the Year. The Broncos 18, the Melbourne Storm 14. You can keep your text coming 0467 920 222. The AFL, by the way, is now Bulldogs 81, Adelaide Crows 80 in that game at Adelaide Oval. Let's go back and look at what happened earlier tonight. The Sydney Football Stadium with our team of Andrew Moore, Luke Lewis and John Gibbs. The Panthers did prevail over the Roosters, 40 points to 4. Here's our wrap with Maury and the team.
Spriggy, I tell you, Penrith looked mighty. After a preliminary final loss to Brisbane last year where they had a commanding lead, having appeared in 5 grand finals in a row and won 4 comps in a row, they're fit, they're healthy, they're hungry, and they flogged the Roosters 40 points to 4, having led 24 to 4 at half time, even though the Roosters started better than Penrith. Hard to believe as the game turned out, but Rob Toyer burnt Casey McLean to score in just the 5th minute, and they were on top until Tom Jenkins scored the first of his 4 tries in the 16th minute. 5 minutes later, Brian To'o scored one of the best individual tries we'll see all year with a double kick ahead and regather. Dylan Edwards scored a couple of tries, had a brilliant game, and Nathan Cleary was the master puppeteer. He ended up with 6 goals from 8 attempts and had a hand in everything. 40 to 4 Penrith, 12th time in 13 games they've beaten the Sydney Roosters, Luke Lewis, and really from about 15 minutes in they never looked like doing anything but winning, and gee, they're commanding in attack and defence.
Yeah, absolutely. They're an amazing team to watch, and you know they were a little bit flat for the first 10-15 minutes. They just had to find a little bit of mojo, and the Roosters come out and started fast. They just couldn't keep that energy level up against a side that you need to do that for 80 minutes. But again, they just strangled the Roosters. After they got back in a bit of a flow, Jenkins scored that first try, then all of a sudden that beautiful little To'o try. That was amazing. But that really turned the tide. When he did that everyone just got this urge of energy, and the Panthers were just on from there. And you could see how many opportunities Roosters had. But as the game went on, you could see the energy in the Roosters outfit just get zapped out more and more and more. And they didn't have any energy to attack the Panthers line when they had the chances.
Cleary,
freak,
great again, wasn't he?
He was. He was again. His kicking game. He didn't kick to the winners on purpose because their 2 wingers, Mark Nawong and Edawaze, Daniel Tupou, are really good under high ball. He was kicking on the halves. He was controlling the plays really well. His leadership out in the field was just spot on. He was coming around on the right side, on the left side. He was coming up some really nice passes. But most of all for me, it was his one-on-one defence out wide. He came up with some big plays, one-on-one, especially on Tedesco. He was getting on his outside shoulder, comes up with some ankle biter, and I just thought he was brilliant again.
Well, the Roosters on the other end of the scale. Penrith, by the way, has conceded 2 tries in 3 games. They look so good. The Roosters, they conceded 40 against the Warriors in round 1 and a good win against South last week, and they concede 40 again today. I know they're a team you think can play Penrith in the grand final. How worried should Roosters fans be 3 weeks in?
Well, I'm worried for myself because I tipped Panthers and Roosters for a grand final. I can't see the Roosters going anywhere near the grand final. The way that they've played the start of this year is horrible, but they have got the side there that can do it, but I just don't feel like they've got the belief. But Panthers, look, I'm going to say this, they don't have any injuries and they didn't have origin period. They'd go through this competition undefeated.
Wow.
I'm telling you, if they didn't have origin,
they're that much ahead.
They're going to lose. They're going to lose. And I don't even, the scariest part about it, I don't even reckon they're playing anywhere near 100% yet.
Well, they're getting close. If Nathan Cleary thought they were at 70% after the win over Cronulla, they've got to be at least 80% now after their 40 to 4 win. Lou, I'll see you at Shark Park tomorrow.
See you there, bro.
That's for Cronulla, Sutherland and the Dolphins. ABC Player of the Year, point 3 went to Nathan Cleary, 2 to Dylan Edwards, who looks magnificent, and 1 to Brian To'o Spriggy. That try was quite something, as in front of a crowd of 22,128. Penrith 40 crushed the Roosters 4.
Thank you, Andrew, and to Luke Lewis. And that try was something. If you haven't seen it yet, and if you've been out and about like many of our trucking friends and the various, get to a TV, get to your computer, your tablet later on, watch that Brian To'o try. It was just phenomenal. Double kick.
I haven't seen it. I've got to check it out.
I'll show it to you in real time. Live in our reaction post game here at Amy Park.